How we doing? How we doing? I hope you're all well. Course not back yet. Who we got here? Welcome everyone. Thank you, Sarah, for welcoming everyone. Please hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell on the way in. Bang bang. Yes, importantly, join the alternate corner and become a blue wench. Yes. Let's go. If you're not already blue wench, please consider becoming a blue wench. Consider supporting the channel as well. Thank you. Um, yes, my merch and donation. The PayPal's there as well. So please, 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 consider donating. Mary, hello, my friend. Hope you're well. Emma, Nosweta, hello. How are you? Sarah P, hello, Mary and Emma. Much love. Look at her. Look at her. She's shaping up. She's on time today. Look at her. It is good. Good, good. Right, what have I got here? Got that there. I just need to get myself in. I, I still don't know. Sarah, what do you think? Because you're a nosy mod. What do you think? Which one's better, Streamlabs or StreamYard? This is Streamlabs, obviously. Um, hello, Katie. Hello, hello. Hey again. How's your kitchen? Oh, don't want to talk. I've got most of the things I want to do.
Everyone, you may be
I
seated.
just left him. He's measuring the whole room out now. Just left him with my father.
All right, we're back in session on State versus Ferriter.
They know what I want.
All sides ready to proceed?
What I really, really want. I want it. So I don't know. He's gonna design some stuff for me and come back to me. They're measuring it up.
The TV?
So I don't know.
Pushing the power button, I presume.
But he was late, you see, so I only got a little bit of him.
While he's looking at that, we do need, in order to preserve the record with respect to the video that was requested by the defense in the opening statement, I'd like you to take that video, put it on a thumb drive, have it marked as Defendant's Exhibit 1 for ID purposes, so that it can be properly made a part of the record, because we didn't do that at the opening, but let's make sure that's taken care of.
We also have some objections to the defense. I'm going to show them the video we're going to play through this witness, but the defense has indicated that there's a video that they intend to cross-examine him on, and the state has an objection to it.
Okay, so we didn't address it by way of a motion in limine, so I'm going to address it in real time as it comes up at the appropriate time in the cross-examination at this point.
They just let us know about it.
Okay. No, I understand. So I'll handle that the same as I would any other evidentiary objection. All right, Mark, have we figured that out?
I'll be back now. Oh, they shouted at me to come in.
So ours, we
Give me a second, I'll be back.
Your Honor, this is the time when we would like to put in the evidence of the actions of Tracy Ferriter changing the room. So this witness that's about to testify, we have an objection separately that wasn't addressed before because we weren't aware of it, to the videos that they want to use during cross-examination of this witness.
Okay.
In the motion in limine, though, we did address two of the videos that the state would like to enter here. So this witness is going to testify that he entered the Ferriter's home prior to the child and took a look at the room. And that's when the room was first discovered. This is the lead detective, Detective Sharp. When we did the search warrant of the Ring camera, it was revealed that immediately before Detective Sharp is led into the room and sees the room, that Tracy Ferriter goes into the room, takes out some of the sheets, and then also takes out the bucket.
And this is the state's video.
These are the state's videos. They're from the Ring camera, but yes, they're the state's videos.
Okay.
And so we think that this is necessary evidence in order to show why when subsequent, like here when he views the room, it's different. So he's not aware of the bucket or any of that because of her actions. There's no statements. And then subsequent to that, there's a search warrant about 8 days later, and the room is substantially different at this time. The defense alleged that they don't want it to be attributed to Tim that these actions happen. We're not eliciting any statements. It's actions that are caught on video. Beyond that, they're charged as co-defendants and they're principals to each other's actions. So if this was a bank robbery and Tracy Ferriter, during her escape, took actions that we had video of, those would be admissible in the state proving our case because they're charged because of the principal theory. They're charged as principals to each other as co-defendants, and they're responsible for each other's actions that are in furtherance of the crime. Right. And so there's 3 videos total that we're going to play. The first 2 are...
Let me stop you there. This is the argument that I heard in limine, and this is one that I said I'd reserve until time of trial. You have any additional argument other than what was made in limine at this point?
Not any additional argument to that. One video doesn't involve, so there's 3 videos total. I believe the objection is only to 2 of them, which are Tracy taking the actions to change the room before law enforcement gets in. We're also going to show...
And you're not playing the audio of
There's no audio to those 2. There's a 3rd video where Detective Sharp goes in and she kind of shows him the room, and he looks around and you can see him like noticing as part of his investigation some of the aspects. She does say some things during that. We are going to play that one without audio.
Okay, all right. So let me hear Mr. Wahid. You're standing there, so I assume you're going to make the argument on this issue. Okay.
So while I wasn't at the motion in limine, I'm looking at it. So the issue, first of all, the state's argument that it's an act in furtherance, it's actually not. So under co-conspirator law, when the crime is done, anything subsequent to the crime, which is, cleaning up or hiding the crime or all of that, is not considered part of a crime. Therefore, it's not in furtherance, according to federal case law at the very least, and I'm not quite sure.
Do you have any state case law that supports that position?
I haven't looked at that, so I can look that up, but this is something I do know.
Well, now's the time. If you have it, I need it now because I'm going to be making a ruling imminently.
All right. Well, I'll need a moment then, Judge.
Well, you're not going to get it. You got to make it now, and I'm going to make a ruling because we are in the middle of trial and I need to proceed.
I'm happy to look it up, but if the court remembers, the state advised that they may not be playing the video, so we just found out.
I understand, but everybody's been aware of this issue and should come well prepared to argue any evidentiary or legal points with any citation to case law that exists. If you don't have it for me now, day late and a dollar short. I need to make a ruling. So go ahead, Mr. Wahid. And you certainly can rely on your federal case law that you've got. I mean, I'm not saying I'll discount that altogether, but I certainly like to hear state case law when it comes to state evidentiary issues.
Of course, understood. And then the other argument, Judge, here is that there is zero evidence that Mr. Ferriter had any idea about any of this that was going on, in that while it's not in evidence, at some point it might be in evidence, is that he wasn't even in the country at the time. And the court severed this case for a reason, is that you don't want the jury to take admissions of possible consciousness of guilt of one party and impute them on the other. I think that really muddies up the water here, and quite frankly, I think it counters why the court agreed to sever in the first place. So I don't know that this is, in terms of admissibility, those are my arguments. Obviously, I also think there's a 403 argument, which is this is substantially more prejudicial than it is of any sort of probative nature of Mr. Ferriter's culpability.
Okay, thank you. Brief rebuttal, Ms. Coakley, and focus on your argument again with the principal point that you're making.
Right, they're charged as principals to each other, so their culpability is intertwined as principals. So the actions that were taken in furtherance of the criminal act of one can be attributable to the other.
And you have 3 videos, 2 of them of which have no audio, and a third one you're playing without audio.
Yes, the first 2 are just her removing things from the room. She removes some blankets, and then she removes the bucket, and then immediately after that, chronologically, is when the detective is shown the room. That's when they have that one. I don't believe that they're objecting to, and he looks around, sees the room. There's talking. We're not going to play the audio for that one. The first 2 don't have audio, I don't believe.
All right, the defense objection to the playing of the 3 requested state videos is overruled, so they will be permitted to be played during the testimony of this witness. Now, is there another video that I need to address that the defense is going to be playing?
Let us know that they're going to try and bring in some body cam. Depending on what they bring in, I'll let Ms. Black make a contemporaneous objection. We may not. We can.
Body cam of the.
It's not of this witness. It's a body cam from the search warrant. And
of the structure
of the house, yeah. And so I think it might include. So I don't know what they're intending to try and offer. Depending on that, we can make an objection at that time. The second one they have indicated to me is that when the child was found at Independence Middle School, he was initially placed in handcuffs and taken into police custody, like they caught him. they want to put in body cam of the child in handcuffs. The state would object to that. It's not relevant. It's prejudicial, and it can cause a confusion of the issues.
Okay,
They have indicated that the reason for that is they want to show how he looked at that time. Immediately after he was caught, he was taken to the Jupiter Police Department. There was a recorded interview where he's on video, and there's also photographs of how he appeared at that time taken for that purpose. There's no reason that they have to show him in handcuffs other than to insinuate that there's some kind of criminal conduct there, which Your Honor has already ruled was not admissible.
Okay, Mr. Wahid, are you going to be attempting to put this in through this witness? Or is it for some subsequent?
We got the other issue still, Judge. So, yes, I will answer your question, then I'll come back to this. I'm sorry, Judge, say that again.
Are you going to be using the video that she is referring to in cross-examination of this witness?
Yes.
All right, so let me hear your argument, and then I'll make a ruling.
Sure. So the body-worn camera of the search warrant, Detective Sharp was present. He's in the video. It does show the layout of the house. It also shows the condition of the house at the time of essentially when this offense all happens, which is, I think the search warrant's executed.
I let the judge know you make a contemporaneous objection to
Oh.
that. We're talking about the one of Ronan being arrested.
Okay. So for the other one, there's allegations that the state is making throughout, that they will be making throughout, that Ronan was malnourished, that he was essentially deprived of food. And you see him on this video. This is only a couple of days after he's run away from the Ferriter's home. This is the first time you see him. And
All right, so focus on the real issue here. It's not that that's not the real issue. The real issue that she's raising is whether it's appropriate to show the jurors the minor being handcuffed by Jupiter Police Department, and whether that's unduly prejudicial or probative here.
Well, first of all, the condition of the child is what you're going to see there first. And this is the first time we will encounter the child on video after he runs away. And secondly, it wasn't like there's no allegation in this case that they were arresting him for some crime. They secured him. I don't know why they did what they did, but they secured him and they put him in a car. But that's the first time. That's part of the story of when that's where they get him.
Well, let me just kind of analogize. I don't allow my defendants to come in front of a jury and be handcuffed because of the negative perception that jurors have when they see somebody coming in to the courtroom being handcuffed. And I have a similar concern that if they see a witness being handcuffed, that might have an adverse effect on their determining the credibility or not of that witness. So that's where I'm coming from. So address that concern and why I shouldn't be concerned about that aspect of it, because obviously, the defendants, we protect them to make sure that they're not handcuffed in front of the jurors precisely to avoid the negative implications of what being handcuffed means.
Understood, although there have been several videos of interviews of my clients that have come into evidence where they are cuffed to a table. But putting that aside for the moment, in this situation, I don't think there's anything.
I don't think in my courtroom, but at least hopefully not, because I know we typically try to avoid that at all costs. But go ahead.
I don't think there's anything here that is prejudicial to the state at all. I don't think it's not that there is no allegation that we're making that in that moment he was being arrested for some crime.
Let me ask you this. Does the entirety of the video show the minor in cuffs, or is there only a part of it that shows it?
There's a part of it. He walks. I don't know how many seconds or minutes or what it goes. I don't have the timestamp at hand. But he walks down the hall. He walks in. You see him. Then the police officer stops him and then says something to him, and then they put the cuffs on him.
Okay. All right. Brief rebuttal, and then I'm going to rule.
It is prejudicial on its face. I wouldn't be able to show the defendants being arrested in this case. There's video of that. They can achieve the same ends. There's video of him literally 15 minutes later at the Jupiter Police Department where he's not handcuffed. And then there's pictures that were taken to document his body. In addition, there's been no allegation, nor will be, that he was malnourished. The defendants were incredibly controlling and limiting about his access to food. That's fundamentally different than an accusation of malnourishment, which is not the case here.
Okay, so my ruling is as follows. The state's objection is sustained in part, overruled in part. It is sustained as to any portions of the video showing the minor in handcuffs. It is overruled as to the remaining part of the video that does not depict the minor to be in handcuffs. So as far as your side, Mr. Wahid, that means you can play the video. You just got to excise out any part showing that the minor is in handcuffs.
Well, I think it shows an apprehension where they like chase him and grab him and then put him in handcuffs.
I didn't even see that.
Okay, well, I don't know. That's what
Yeah.
you haven't shown. I haven't seen it.
The video I was trying to show you earlier, it's just him walking down the hallway, and he's in the lobby of the school, and then he talks to some officer, I assume a school resource.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, I'll pause it for a second just to say hello to you all. Where have I gone here? Sorry, I'm just dealing with kitchen stuff. I was going to get an island. That went out the window. Oh, Jesus. In the end, I just said, just bloody shove something in there. So yeah, we got a bigger table now, oak table going in there. Anyway, so hello, Sandra. Hello, Amy. Hello, lurking again. Katie's here. Sandra, Amy, Volve, Sandra, Nunya. Hello, Nunya. Yeah, Sandra, we announced it earlier on, but I saw it earlier on. Natalie Wisco. I didn't watch it myself, but I heard about that. So, yes. So, welcome, everyone. Right. If you're new to the channel, please just say hello and chat. Everyone's lovely here.
And then they put the cuffs on.
Sarah P.
And it might keep going a
Well,
while.
what you're describing, I have no problem with except for the cuffs part that I've already ruled on. But if there is a video of them running the minor down and chasing him and
Josie's in the house. Hey, Josie.
apprehending him, I'm not going to allow that to be played.
I have no intention of playing.
Okay. All right. So
For the record, can I just put a case on the record?
you can put it on the record. I'm not going to change my ruling at this point, but go ahead.
Well, Wells v. State, it's a first district case. We were doing this in a hurry. And it points out that, and in that particular case, it was the homicide case, and that the real issue there was that the questioning, which was after the crime, is not in furtherance of the conspiracy. The crime had already taken place. He's being charged here with aggravated child abuse, that there was no ongoing version of that by the time Detective Sharp has this interaction with Tracy Ferriter. It's therefore not in furtherance of any conspiracy.
Do you have any case law that says that in a co-defendant situation where they're charged as principals to each other, that consciousness of guilt conduct is not something that can be imputed to one of the other principals? Because to me, that's where this becomes potentially relevant, and why I'm ruling the way I am is because if the spouse is showing consciousness of guilt by removing the bucket from the room, and consciousness of guilt can be shown as, that can be the evidence that the state submits. Where you have a principal situation, why would that not be relevant, even under the case you just cited?
Well, the issue goes towards a principal to the crime, and the crime charged here is the actual child abuse charge. If it would be different if you were...
Well, child abuse, let's not forget false imprisonment and child neglect. And so even on the issue of false imprisonment, it seems to me you've got a much tougher lift to convince me that the consciousness of guilt of one principal isn't imputed or can be used against the other principal. Am I missing something?
Well, I think what the video, as my recollection goes, again, I came into the case late, so if someone correct me if I'm wrong on this, but my recollection is that it is essentially removing some sheets and the bucket. It's not removing the lock from the door, which would be the issue of the false imprisonment. A bucket in a room is not part of the false imprisonment charge. The confinement is the false imprisonment.
Not sure I agree with that, but I understand the point you're making. I'm just not sure I agree with it. I mean, the bucket could be used by the state as potential evidence of the false imprisonment because it kept him from leaving the room and he had to relieve himself in the bucket. So I can see where they can easily tie that in. Any other argument you wish to make, Mr. Wade, for the record?
Not unless Ms. Murad comes up with a case very quickly.
Go Pack, go Dave. Hi, Daddy. How you doing, Dave?
No.
Okay. All right. So my ruling remains the same. Thank you for making the argument, and you've put your case on the record.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Wade, thank you. All right. All sides ready to proceed now with the continuation of the state's case.
Yes, we're all set. We did meet during lunch about the next witness, but we are obviously going to need to take a break.
Yeah, we'll take a break. Well, you'll let me know when you're ready for me to take a recess so that we can get the IT set up for the in-camera testimony. And that's the next witness, right? Not this witness, but the next witness. Okay, all right. So Ms. Coakley, you ready to proceed? Ms. Murad?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Mark, you may go ahead and bring the jurors out.
Okay. I was saying goodbye to you, Amy, earlier on, right? Because I was in this morning's chat, and you were saying bye bye, everyone. I was like,
All right.
"Bye, Amy." What an idiot.
All right, everyone may be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome back. I trust everyone had a good lunch and were able to relax during the hour and a half lunch break. In any event, we're ready to start back up for this afternoon. We're still in, as you know, the state's portion of the case where they're calling witnesses. So with that, Ms. Black, is the state prepared to call its next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, this time we call Detective Sharp.
Okay.
Josie and Sarah, I just sent you a message on X. Sounds like a porn site.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mark, can you make sure that's off when it's not in use? Okay. All right, Ms. Black, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Detective. Please state your name, spelling your last name for the record.
Yes, my name's Andrew Sharp, S-H-A-R-P.
Where do you work?
I work for the Jupiter Police Department.
How long have you been there?
I've been at the Jupiter Police Department approximately 17 years.
And what's your title there?
I'm a detective.
How long have you been a detective?
6 years.
What did you do before that?
Before I was a detective, I had various roles throughout the agency. I was a field training officer.
Like
I also
that.
worked on a special response team. I had various other roles.
Now, what kind of training and experience do you have as a detective?
As a detective, I have several hours in advanced interviews and interrogations. I also have several hours of training in regards to child abuse investigations, as well as just general investigations.
So, at the Jupiter Police Department, do you guys have any specific units, or are you just an overall detective?
We have an overall criminal investigations division.
And as part of that, do you also do any continuing education every year?
Yes, we do.
Now, I'm going to turn your attention to January 30th of 2022. Were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and in what capacity were you working?
Yes, so I was the on-call detective for the Jupiter Police Department. So I technically wasn't at work, but I was on call for the day.
On that day, did you get assigned a case?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what was that?
That day, I was assigned by our Criminal Investigations Division Sergeant a missing persons case.
How do you typically get assigned a case?
So typically, what happens when you're on call for the day, anything that comes in that would involve further investigation, it's assigned to a detective. And if you're the detective that's on call, it's your job to handle those investigations.
Once you got that phone call, where did you respond to?
The first thing I did was I responded to the Jupiter Police Department, and I made contact with the Criminal Investigations Division Sergeant.
And at that time, are you notified about what's been done so far in the investigation?
Yes, I was made apprised of exactly what took place, that a few nights prior, there was a juvenile that was reported missing, and then there was some other circumstances that led the sergeant to assign it to a detective.
Now, what time did you arrive to the police department?
It was that evening, I would say, without referring directly to my report, probably around 6 or 7 p.m.
And after going to the police department, where's your next stop?
The next stop was at the Ferriter residence.
Did you make contact with anyone from the household prior to going to the residence?
Yes, the Criminal Investigations Division sergeant and I made a call to the mother in the case, Mrs. Ferriter, just to make sure that she was present at the house before we went.
Now, when you get to the house, what do you do first?
The first thing we did was we attempted to make contact with anyone at the residence. We knocked on the door and we were greeted by Mrs. Ferriter.
Where did you end up speaking to her?
The entire conversation took place outside of the residence, kind of in the front porch area. Right, this is like a brick paver walkway. It was right on that area.
Did you notice anything about how she was acting when you first made contact with her?
Yes. So immediately, I wanted to go inside the residence to make sure.
Overruled as to that question and response. You may continue with your answer, sir. You just can't say what someone said.
Sure.
What you did.
Thank you, Your Honor. So immediately, I wanted to go inside the residence because I wanted to make sure, find any evidence of where this individual may be, and to make sure that his safety and well-being was taken care of. So I attempted to do so. However, Mrs. Ferriter was apprehensive.
Overruled.
And would not initially allow us inside.
Overruled.
You can finish answering the question.
Thank you. We stood outside probably, I think the entirety of my body camera worn footage was about 52 minutes, and I believe 45 minutes was standing outside of the residence, waiting and asking repeatedly to go inside.
Okay. So you said that she was apprehensive about you going inside, right?
That's correct.
And the rest of the time you spent 45 minutes speaking to her outside.
That's correct.
Did you do anything to make her feel more comfortable at that time?
Absolutely. I reassured her over and over that I was not there to investigate her. I was not there for any other reason but the safety and well-being of her son. I said I did not care if there was any kind of other illegal activity going on in the house. I wasn't worried about that. My sole priority was for the missing juvenile.
When you first responded to that house, were you alone?
I was not. I was in the presence of the Criminal Investigation Division Sergeant and Officer Jurek.
Did you eventually go inside the house?
Yes, I did.
Were you the only one that went inside the house?
Yes, I was.
So when you first walk into the house, kind of describe what did you see?
Sure, absolutely. When I first entered the residence, there was a small credenza right alongside the wall there. This credenza, there was an object on it, but that was the only item. Mrs. Ferriter then directed me into a room directly inside the residence. I believe it was to the right. She purported that both of her sons stayed in that room.
Sustained is that the statement. I just refrain from saying what Mrs. Ferriter actually said. You can say what she did, what you observed, but not what she said.
Okay.
So
thank you, Your Honor.
You indicated that there was a room that you were shown by Ms. Ferriter?
That's correct.
Okay. What did you see in that room?
Inside that room, I only saw objects belonging to a young child. I believe there was a sign that said Pierce in the room. There was also a crib and other objects, leading me to believe that that was the only child that occupied that room.
And you indicated that there was a sign of the name Pierce. Is there a child that the Ferriters have named Pierce?
That there is.
Okay. Did you notice anything else about that room?
Inside that room, there was also a small makeshift area that appeared as though there was a blanket and what appeared to be a pillow laying on the floor, but it was there kind of haphazardly. It didn't appear as anyone had slept there. It was just there, placed.
Where is the next part of the house that you go to?
After looking in that room, I was directed towards near the Florida room. There was an area with a small desk. Mrs. Ferriter led me to believe that the children would do homework in this area.
Overruled.
You can answer the question.
So there was a small area for homework, it appeared. There were some writings that were told to me that belonged to Ronan.
Sustained us to that.
Without going into what was said, what was on the writing,
No.
or anything like that, what was the next place in the house that you went to?
The next place I went to was the enclosure in question,
Where was that enclosure found?
inside the garage of the residence.
And when you first went in there, what did you do?
When I first walked, so the enclosure is through the kitchen and into the garage. When I first walked through the kitchen and into the garage, I noticed that the door appeared to have a deadbolt, and there appeared to be a light switch on the exterior of the room outside to the left of that door. I then walked in, and I observed a box spring and a mattress with what appeared to be some sheets, and there was also a small desk, a little bit smaller than this, that appeared to have some children's books on them. So I stood inside the room and I looked around for clues as to, Ronan, where he may have gone, et cetera.
So I know while you were sitting down, you were motioning kind of like the length of what the witness stand was.
Yes.
Now, how long were you in that room for?
I was in the room less than a minute. I was inside the residence 5 minutes.
Now, after you finished viewing the room, where did you go next?
After I first walked into the room, I recalled that I could see something out of the corner of my eye, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was. So when I walked back out of the room, I asked Mrs. Ferriter if I could go back in the room. She allowed me to go back in, and when I went back in, that was when I saw the Ring camera that was in the corner of the room.
Now, after you saw that Ring camera, what was your next step in the investigation?
The next step, we were directed outside of the residence. I spoke to Mrs. Ferriter for several minutes outside of the residence, and then I directed other units that were working that evening to check in the area of some of the previous places that Mrs. Ferriter advised her son may have gone. So I know I checked the skate park. I directed other officers to check other parks and other areas that were within the surrounding area of where the residence was.
Now, I'm going to turn your attention to January 31st of 2022. Were you working that day?
That day I was.
Okay, and again, what was your role that day?
That day I was a detective, and my role was to continue the investigation in regards to the missing juvenile.
Did you become aware that the missing juvenile had been found?
That morning I was made aware that the juvenile was located at the Independence Middle School.
And where did you respond to?
I responded to Independence Middle School.
Subsequent to that, did you meet with the juvenile?
I did.
And where did you meet with him?
So the juvenile, I met with him initially on scene, and then he was brought back to the Jupiter Police Department so I can conduct my initial fact-finding interview with him.
Okay, and you said fact-finding. What is that?
Just an initial interview just to find out exactly what I'm dealing with, exactly what the facts of the case may be, and find out exactly if there are any allegations of criminal behavior, et cetera.
How was he acting when you met with him at the police department?
He was very soft-spoken, very timid and shy, and appeared to be withdrawn and was very nervous.
Did you eventually get a statement from him that day?
I did.
Now, turning your attention to February 1st of 2022, again, were you working that day?
I was.
And did you make contact with the siblings in the case?
I did.
Okay, and who are they?
I made contact with both daughters, Nola and Fiona Ferriter. I apologize for misstating her name.
And did you take them anywhere?
Yes, they were brought to the Child Protection Team office in West Palm Beach.
And what is the Child Protection Team office?
The Child Protection Team is an office that holds forensic interviewers, and they do our forensic interviews for our cases. So a more detailed interview than my initial fact-finding interview that took place.
So both Nola and Fiona were interviewed there?
That's correct.
And subsequent to that, on February 4th of 2022, was Ronan interviewed there as well?
Yes, he was.
Now, after all of these interviews were done, what did you do as part of your investigation?
As part of my investigation, I served a search warrant, and I served and executed a search warrant on Ring, which was the camera that was inside of the room, and I began perusing the surveillance videos that were obtained through that.
So I know you kind of are describing the camera, but what is specifically Ring?
Sure. So Ring.com, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but Ring is a service that provides video doorbells. They also provide surveillance equipment and other things. And they are a cloud-based storage server. So anytime a video or anything is recorded through their service, it's uploaded and stored on their cloud server.
So you went ahead and executed that warrant for Ring?
That's correct.
And what did you get back from Ring?
Several thousands of videos, surveillance videos.
How many videos would you say there were?
Approximately 21,000.
And did you review each of those videos?
I reviewed a majority of those videos. I reviewed all of the videos in relation to the enclosure in reference to this case.
So when you say you reviewed the videos to the enclosure, were there other Ring cameras around the house?
That's correct.
Where were they?
There was, I believe, a front door camera, and I believe there was also another camera that captured an area in the backyard.
Besides the Ring search warrant, were there any other search warrants executed?
Yes.
What were those?
On February 8th, we executed a search warrant on the residence.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel was previously known as State Exhibit 1A.
Mark, can you make sure the microphone, the hand mic is at the podium so they can use it? Just cut it off until they're ready to use it. But first, I want you to restate what you did. You were walking away, and I want to remind all counsel, you are being recorded, so you've got to be close to a mic. I'll even give you the portable mic that you can carry with you. Make sure you have a microphone with you, or you're at the microphones when you're speaking. So restate what you just said, because I didn't hear you, and I doubt it got picked up on recording.
On the record, I was asking, Your Honor, if I could approach defense counsel to show them State's Exhibit 1A through C.
1A through T?
C.
C. C is in Charlie. Okay?
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
There's a green light when it's on. Just press it.
I am now showing the witness what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1A through C, if you want to just go over those,
Thank you.
and then look up when you're done with them.
Sure. Okay.
And do you recognize those?
I do.
How do you recognize those?
These were our photos that were taken by my crime scene investigator that I directed to take.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the house looked like on February 8th, 2022, when the search warrant was executed?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 1A through C.
Any objection? No objection. All right, so the court receives and accepts State's Exhibits 1A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Now, you stated on direct that you had your crime scene investigator take pictures.
That's correct.
Okay. You don't take the pictures yourself?
I do not.
And why not?
I'm not trained in taking photographs forensically, and our crime scene investigators take hours of training in regards to taking photographs, documenting crime scenes, etc.
Your Honor, at this time, permission to publish 1AC.
Granted. Okay, you're not using an Elmo? How are you doing it?
I have them on USB.
Okay, all right, that'll be fine.
Hoping it's all over.
Do you want me to push it?
Yes, it needs to be moved up. And right about there, I don't want you to obscure my view of the defense table. Okay. All right, and so members of the jury, if we need to move it closer, I obviously will move it as close as it needs to be for you to be able to see it clearly. But if you're able to see it clearly where it is, that's fine. But if you're not, give me the thumbs up or thumbs down, and we'll move it closer. Okay, good enough. All right, we'll leave it where it is then.
So for the record, I am showing States 1C. What is this a picture of?
That is a picture of the open front door of the Ferriter residence.
And when you were speaking earlier about when you spoke to Ms. Ferriter, is that where you had been standing?
That's correct.
I'm now showing you 1A. And what is this a picture of?
That is a photo of the overall residence of the Ferriters.
Okay, and if we could go to 1B. What is this a picture of?
That is a picture of the exterior door from the garage to the exterior of the residence.
Now, when you first walk into the house, where do you go?
The foyer, it's like an open area that leads, not really a hallway, but there's a small wall, and then to the right, there's a bedroom. So in the first foyer.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as, oh, I'm sorry. You are. States 2AB.
2A through D or E?
A through B.
B, okay.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 2AB for identification purposes. You can look at it. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
Again, this is a photograph of the foyer of the Ferriter residence, and it was taken at my direction, and is also in the area that I was standing and was brought into that first day.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of where you had gone on February 8th, 2022 in the residence?
Yes, it doesn't look exactly the same, but it is a fair and accurate depiction of the residence.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, the state would introduce States Exhibit 2AB.
Any objection?
February 8th of 2022, when they executed the search warrant.
Witness saying that's what it looked like on that day?
Yes.
Any objection? No. All right, so court receives and accepts States Exhibits 2A through B as in Bravo in evidence without objection.
And Your Honor, at this time, may the state publish?
Granted.
And just for the record, it is photos of the entrance of the house. For the record, it is States Exhibit 2A. What is this?
That is the photo you just showed me of the foyer of the Ferriter residence.
Okay. And you stated that although this was how you saw it on February 8th of 2022, you said it was different.
That's correct.
How was it different?
So on January 30th, the first day that I was there, that credenza did not have those photos placed on it. Neither was that sign with whatever phrase that is. That wasn't present either.
Now publishing States 2B. And what is this a picture of?
That is just another angle of the same foyer.
Now, when I was asking you questions, you had indicated that there was a bedroom to the right when you first walked in.
That's correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 3A through C.
C or D?
C. I'm sorry.
It's my hearing.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 3A through C if you want to look through them and then just look up. Do you recognize those photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the first room, Pierce's room, inside the Ferriter residence that were taken at my direction.
And are these photos accurate depiction of how you saw the room on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would introduce into evidence State's Exhibit 3A through C.
Any objection from the defense? No objection. Court receives and accepts State's Exhibits 3A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish.
Granted.
I'm showing you State Exhibit 3A. What is that a picture of?
That is a picture of the youngest Ferriter's room, Pierce's room, inside the Ferriter residence.
And on January 30th, did you see the bed like that?
No, in that room, there was no bed. There was only a crib and other items for a small child.
Okay. Turning to State's Exhibit C, 3C. And is that the crib that you had indicated?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 4A through D.
Thank you.
Yeah, I took one with the covers on. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 4A through D. Just go ahead and look at them.
Thank you.
Do you recognize those?
I do.
How do you recognize those?
Those are photographs of the same room, but this time the bed in that bedroom has the sheets removed, and they were photos that I directed our CSI to take.
Are they a fair and accurate depiction of how the room was on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 4A through D.
Any objection? No. Court receives and accepts State's Exhibits 4A through D as in Delta in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit 4A. What is that a picture of?
That is a photograph of the youngest Ferriter room, which shows a bed without the sheets and a crib, and as well as some small children's toys.
Why were the sheets taken off?
When I observed the bed in that room, I recognized the sheets from these Ring videos, and I believe that that bed was the same bed that was previously in the room, or I'm sorry, in the enclosure that was inside the garage. So I directed my CSIs to remove the sheets and to photograph the bed.
Okay. Now publishing State's Exhibit 4B. And what is that?
That is a view of the interior of the room from the exterior.
And now publishing 4C. And what is that?
That's another photo of inside the room of the mattress and box spring.
Now publishing 4D. What is that?
That is a photo of the same room with the dresser for Pierce, as well as the sheets, et cetera, on the floor, and the mattress and box spring, and the crib, as well as some other children's toys.
Did you go to any of the other bedrooms in the house?
I did.
Did you go to any of the other siblings' bedrooms?
I did.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 5A through D.
Okay.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 5A through D. Do you recognize those?
I do.
And how do you recognize them?
Those are photos of one of the siblings' rooms that I directed our CSI to take photos of.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of how the room looked like on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 5A through D.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts States Exhibits 5A through D as in Delta in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Publishing 5A. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of one of the daughters of the Ferriters' rooms.
And publishing 5B. What is that a picture of?
That is another angle of the same room.
5C. What is that?
That appears to be the closet of the same room.
And 5D.
That's another angle of the same room.
Now, after going into that room, did you go anywhere else?
Yes, I went into the other sibling room.
Did you at any point go into a bathroom?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 6.
Okay.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 6. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
That is a photograph of the bathroom, of the spare bathroom inside the Ferriters' residence.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of how the bathroom looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That it is.
Your Honor, this time the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 6.
Any objection? No. Court receives and accepts States Exhibit 6 in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now, what is this a picture of?
That is the same photo you just showed me, which is the bathroom of the spare bedroom, the spare bathroom inside of the Ferriter residence.
Where was it located in the residence?
I believe it was in between the siblings' rooms.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 7A through F. May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 7A through F, if you just want to take a moment to look at it. Do you recognize these photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the other sibling room that I directed my CSI to take.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the room looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 7A through F.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts States Exhibit A through F as in Frank in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now publishing States 7A. What is this? Or that's actually 7C. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of one of the siblings' beds inside of the Ferriter residence.
Okay, now publishing States Exhibit 7B. What is that a picture of?
That is another angle of a bedroom inside of the Ferriter residence.
Now, after going to that bedroom, was there anywhere else in the house that you went?
Yes.
Where did you go?
The master bedroom?
Okay. And I know during our direct examination, you indicated that there was a Florida room.
That's correct.
Did you go there also?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 8A through B. May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm now showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 8, A through B. Do you recognize those?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photographs of the, of the Florida room that I directed my CSI to take.
Okay. And is it a fair and accurate depiction of what the Florida room looked like on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit A through 8, AB.
Any objection? No. Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 8A through B as in Baker in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now showing you 8A. What is that a picture of?
That is a photograph of the Florida room inside the Ferriter residence.
Now, did you have your CSI take pictures of the garage?
I did.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked as State's Exhibit 9. May I approach the witness?
You may.
I am showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 9. Do you recognize this?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
This is a photograph of the garage from the exterior of the residence with the garage door open that I directed my CSI to take.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of what the garage looked like on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would introduce into evidence State's Exhibit 9.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 9 in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
So you stated this was a photo of the garage
That's correct.
from the exterior.
That's correct.
Okay, and where is that enclosure that you had been speaking about?
If you are looking at that photograph, behind the tan shelves, behind those green boxes, you'll see a white wall. Those two white walls that you see there, those are some of the walls of the enclosure.
Now, did your CSI take pictures of inside of the garage?
Yes, she did.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 10A through D.
Okay.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 10A through D, if you just want to look through them. Do you recognize them?
I do.
And what are these?
These are photographs of the interior of the garage that I directed my CSI to take, which included photographs of an orange Home Depot bucket.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the inside of the garage looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 10A through D.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 10A through D as in Delta in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now publishing State's Exhibit 10A. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of the orange Home Depot bucket the victim had to use to urinate and defecate in.
Okay, and how do you know that?
That meets the depiction of the Home Depot bucket that was shown inside of the surveillance videos, as well as what was told to me by the victim.
Now publishing 10B. What is this a picture of?
That is another angle of the interior of the garage that shows to the door which leads to the exterior of the residence, with the enclosure there in view on the right of that photograph.
Okay, now going to 10C. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of the shelving units that were inside the garage. As you can see on one of the lower shelving units, that's where the Home Depot bucket was placed when we arrived there on February 8th.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 11A through E.
Okay.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 11A through E. Do you recognize those photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the exterior of the enclosure I directed my CSI to take.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the outside of the enclosure looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 11A through E.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibits 11A through E as an epsilon in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Publishing State's 11A. What is that a picture of?
That is a picture of the exterior of the enclosure inside the garage of the Ferriter residence.
And what about for 11B?
That is another photograph of a different angle of the enclosure.
Now, if we can go to 11E.
That's
11C. What 11D, what is that a picture of?
That is a photograph of myself holding up the letter C to indicate that that was room C for the search warrant. And that is a photograph of the exterior of the enclosure inside the Ferriter garage with the door to the enclosure leaning up against the enclosure.
You also indicated that photos of the room were taken, or
That's
the enclosure.
correct. That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time I'm showing opposing counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibit 12A through C.
Sarah P. and Josie, I just sent you the Twitter message as well.
Permission to
Set you
approach
up
the witness?
Granted.
I'm showing you what's been marked State's Exhibit 12A through C. Do you recognize those photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the interior of the enclosure that I directed our CSI to take.
Are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the interior of the structure looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would introduce into evidence State's Exhibit 12A through C.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 12A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now, publishing 12A. What is that a picture of?
That is a photo of the interior of the enclosure.
And at that point, there was nothing in it.
That's correct. The only item that was in it was that window air conditioning.
Now, on January 30th of 2022, when you first responded to the house, what was inside that enclosure?
Inside that enclosure on that day was a desk about the size of this witness stand, as well as the box spring and mattress.
And when you're referring to the box spring and mattress, is that the same one that was in Pierce's room in the photos?
That's correct.
Overruled.
How did you know that it was the same box spring?
I reviewed the ring surveillance photos. In some of the ring surveillance photos, Ronan did not have any sheets on the bed. As you could see in the previous photos that were brought by state, you could see a very pronounced tag that was on the mattress. That tag is the same tag that I saw on the 8th. That was the same tag that I saw in several of the ring surveillance videos. So with those, I believe that that mattress is the same mattress that was inside of that room.
Now,
Too
publishing
quiet, aren't
States
they?
11B, what is that a picture of?
That is another angle of that same interior enclosure.
And 11C, or 12C, I apologize.
That is another angle of the interior of the enclosure. This time you can highlight there the door of that enclosure is off and laying against the wall.
On January 30th of 2022, when you first went to the residence, was the door like that?
The door was not like that. The door was on the door frame, hinged and utilized appropriately with the exterior deadbolt lock on the outside.
Your Honor, I'm approaching opposing counsel, showing them States Exhibit 13A through C.
Very quiet with the objections, aren't they, Katie?
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 13A through C, if you want to go through those. Do you recognize those photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the door of the enclosure that were taken at my direction by the CSI.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of what the door looked like on February 8th, 2022?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 13A through C.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts States Exhibits 13A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now publishing 13A. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of the exterior of the door, highlighting the deadbolt, which was on the exterior of the enclosure, as well as the regular door knob lock, which is also on the exterior of the room.
What is a deadbolt?
A deadbolt is a locking device that most, probably everyone here has at their residence to secure from anyone entering or exiting an enclosure or room.
And that lock was only on the outside of the door, right?
That's correct.
What about on the inside of the door?
On the inside was only the spot where you'd have to put a key, so there was no way for, if that door was locked, for anyone on the inside to exit.
What about the lights? Did you notice any lights in the enclosure?
Yes.
And what about the light switch?
The light switch was also on the exterior of the room. It was to the left of the door in this photograph.
1 minute, Your Honor.
Granted.
Now, you stated that you had gotten that search warrant from Ring, correct?
That's correct.
And you were able to access all about 21,000 videos?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said that you had reviewed those videos before?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 14. This is just the first two. I need to add on to it. The first two.
It's been copyrighted. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Action trailer. Sky iceberg.
May I approach the witness?
I'm sorry?
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I know it's hard because it's a USB, but I'm showing you States Exhibit 14. Did you have a chance to review the Ring videos on that USB?
I did.
Okay, and are they a fair and accurate depiction of when you made contact at the Ferriter house on January 30th of 2022?
Yes, they are.
And these were obtained through the Ring search warrant, correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 14.
Any objection?
Exhibit 14.
Any objection?
Your Honor, may we approach?
You can approach.
Alright, gives me a chance to look at this then. What was it? 1/14/26. Sarah P, all quiet.
Zach was one that would go out of his way to drop whatever was necessary to help me in it.
Okay. So, I'm not sure, Josie, if you're here, but I just got copyrighted for your video. I got a red mark. Yeah, it was a trailer, so it's like it's fine. I'll just be demonetized. Yeah, it's the music. It is. Yeah, it's hang on, I'll tell you now. I got it here. Um, to Sky. So it's Sky Iceberg. So basically, it's 11 seconds. 11 seconds worth of music. But it's worth you noting it because obviously for other. Um, so if I go like this. So it's this section. So you go and take a look. It's that section, 114.26 to 114.37. Like I'll leave it, I'll leave it in. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I've not sworn that much today. No way. And then I looked at it, copyright, and it's like that. So it's fine. I don't get striked, but I'll just leave it in. So it's fine. It's for a good cause. So my warning video just means I don't make any money on it. Um, but I mean, we're only talking about cents. So I'd rather have the video in than to make like a couple of dollars. No, it's absolutely fine.
That's for that technical issue there.
It's just worth noting because obviously I'm a small channel. It's fine for me, but like if offer advices to it, you know, oh yeah, I will. I'll send it to Twitter now. I will. Then it might be a bit more impact. That's all. I'll send
And
it
just
to
for
you
the
now.
record, is State's Exhibit 14 entered into evidence?
Yes, Exhibit 14 is entered into evidence over objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted. And let me just be clear on that ruling, Ms. Black. Over objection is to the first two videos on Exhibit 14, without objection as to the third video.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I can put the file number on the record.
Okay.
Can we mark them in sub 1, sub 2, sub 3?
Why don't we mark them by reference to the file number there, because that's what it's going to show up on the thumb drive. So which one is the video 3?
So video 3 is 1643600155000.
All right, so that's the one that's admitted in evidence without objection. The other two videos on that thumb drive are admitted in evidence over objection. So I think that's clear for the record.
Now the state will be publishing the one ending in 107000.
Zach was one that would go out of his way to
Now,
drop
what do you
whatever
see
was
in that video?
Overruled.
Judge, court recording can't hear defense.
Do we have another? Yeah,
I said objection.
yeah, we're going to bring you a mic, Mr. Waheed, so you can have the assistance of the technology here. I mean, as much as this room is mic'd up, it's a big room, and if you aren't close to a mic, you don't get recorded. That's why I'm kind of anal about it. All right, go ahead, Ms. Black.
Your Honor, could we just replay that?
Yep, go ahead.
Publish the first video.
Granted.
Now publishing the exhibit ending in 299000.
Is this the third one?
It's still the second
Still
one.
the second one.
Now now publishing the last one ending in 55000.
Okay, Mark, can you make sure the volume is muted or turned completely down? Okay, all right, good. We're good to go then.
So without going into what was said, what are you doing in this video?
In that video, Mrs. Ferriter was directing me to the books that were placed on top of that desk. She advised that, I'm sorry, there was books that were on top of the desk. I was looking for other writings or anything that could have been from the victim to help me try to find out where he may be, etc.
And now what just happened?
Again, I stated thought I saw a camera in the corner, but I said to myself, is that really a camera in the corner? So if you see it, I come back in and verify that, yes, there is a camera inside of the structure.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, Mr. Wade, you doing the cross? All right, you may proceed.
Sarah, it says he doesn't allow delegates still. Yeah, that is dumb, Sarah. If you did that, I still can't invite
And you may
the
proceed
delegate.
at your convenience.
It says you've not switched it on, Sarah. Oh, I don't know then. It's literally won't let me do it. This is a
Detective, good
nightmare.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You had said that you had a myriad of roles in your journey with JPD, correct?
That's correct.
Including just, regular arrests of crimes that happen on the street, correct?
That's correct.
That would include arrests of juveniles, correct?
That's correct.
Done it,
And
Sarah,
what
done
happens
it.
when a juvenile is arrested in Jupiter?
Sustained. Approach. Let me hear your argument on this, Mr. Wade.
Right, Sarah, I've done it. Just Josie left. But she's got more important stuff to do, so it's fine. Yeah, Josie, when you get time tomorrow or something. So you are now a delegate. You just need to accept it, Sarah. It says pending invites. Don't know what that means. I don't know where you go and accept it. I have no idea. Oh, you go back in, and then you click the delegate, then you go to accounts delegated to you, and then you accept it there. That's how you do it. So easy. So you now delegate. Sorry, guys. I was just setting up a Twitter account. So Hey, Sarah P followed me back. Let's go, Sarah. So that means you now are you delegate now? So, just going through some of these now. Oh, geez. Some of them I don't think we need to follow. Um, so we got, if you're on Twitter, we got a new account for the channel. And you'll be pleased to hear that I'm in there, but I won't be in charge of it. Nancy. Oh, bestie. Sent her an invite. Carwyn, I've seen Carwyn for ages. Da 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 da. Right, Sarah, do your magic. You do your magic, Sarah. Do whatever you need to do. Um, no, it's all good. It's all good. I'll be doing posting on it. Don't, Sarah. As if I care. You know that. It's more about retweeting something. We'll share all the Zach stuff in there. Anything you see, go pop in there, share it, like stuff. Do you know what I mean? There's no expectations, guys. But yeah, what's my right? What is it called? I need to change mine now. Hang on. So I believe actually I can't do it because I haven't got a chat on it. It's at corner A LTE 41661. We've got to change that. We'll change that. Don't worry, we'll change that at some point. I don't know how to though, but I think Josie probably will. So, um, oh, she's here. Class. All right, Josie, go to go to the side. Go to settings and support. Right, press settings and privacy. You there? Then you go into security and account access. Then you go into delegate. Then you just switch the button on to say um, invites allowed or whatever it's called at the top. And that's it. It is that simple. Ba 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 ba. Your account, no security. D. Once I've added Josie Bear in, it's me, Josie. Then we're done. No, she didn't get it. Sarah P, she's asking for help in Twitter. Maybe you can help her better than me. Because I'm useless. Da-da-da-da-da. We'll post the new Twitter handle in a bit. I don't know how to do it. I don't even know what the handle it. How do you do a handle? I don't even know what we're doing here. Or I need to change mine one now. Is that it? No, not that one. This one. Because you're gorgeous. I'll do anything for you because you're gorgeous. Ba, 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 ba. What do I call myself? Just a lad, is it? Save. Oh, fuck. Okay, whatever. I can't change my profile yet, it seems. I'm going to have to wait a little bit. Anyway, what are we thinking, guys? What are we oh shit, it's not 2 hours yet. What are we thinking? How are we finding the trial, alright? It's a bit frustrating, like Sarah said, about not being able to what do you call it? See the exhibits, especially when the judge allows us to see as the jurors, not the exhibits. Then yeah, you pissed off everyone. Oh Jesus. Just remember, we got Matheau tomorrow. Matheau tomorrow, 4 o'clock UK time. No, I don't know yet either, Josie. You were right earlier on. We got to judge, like, what is the actual crime? What are they, you know, what's the wording of everything? Now, I'm presuming that you've done this thing now. Security, delegate, members, add member. It's me. It's Josie. Bloody hell, you still haven't done it. Ah. It's Josie. It's Josie. It's me, Josie, isn't it? It's not. Send an invite. Nope. Yeah, so I mean, we're just taking the case in, really, aren't we? You know, it's not really looking great, but you're right. We don't actually know what the jury structures are going to be or anything. Because you're gorgeous, I'll do anything for you. I'm going to get copyrighted again for that. Because I'm a great singer. Did you find the delicate thing, Josie? Or did I not explain it? Probably didn't explain it well. Okay. I will leave it to you, Sarah P, to explain. I'm on the judge's head. Judge's head. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. I'll just sit on his shoulder to have a listen. Yeah, I'm trying to listen in. I do it. Alright, it just might take a couple seconds then to adjust. Because I'm gorgeous and I'll do anything for me. Oops, I'll have to move myself. Let me just see if I can get Josie. 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 It's me, not you. It's me and you. Da, 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 da.
All right, everyone may be seated. The point where we can have IT do what they need to do, or
Well, I think we just have to my understanding, we're set up. We just have to go down there and.
once the cross is completed, then, or the redirect's completed, then we'll take another break to let you relocate to where you need to be. And I am going to remain in this courtroom with the defendant and with the jury.
That's fine. We spoke with IT about it, and my understanding is we're going to be able to see you on the screen.
Yeah,
And hear you.
yeah.
And so that should be fine, Your Honor.
All right. And the only other thing is that the video link for Zoom cannot show the minors. So if I cut my video feed off, will they still be able to see me?
I don't know the answer, because my understanding is we're gonna have like a closed Zoom that's just between us and this courtroom. That's not open to the public.
Okay, that may mean I need to change my video input because I'm working off the owl now, but I'll make sure that I do that so that it just shows me.
And just like pursuant to statute, when there's in camera, there just has to be an opportunity for the defendant to consult with his attorney. So I don't know if we need it like after the draft to take a little break.
We will. I want to make sure that the defendant's provided with all the due process rights he is entitled to. So what I will do is I'll look to you, sir, Mr. Ferriter, and you can just give me the nod if you need to speak with your attorneys, or if your attorneys want to state on the record after the direct that you wish to speak with your client, let me know, and I'll certainly provide that opportunity for that to occur.
And Your Honor, may he reposition himself when the testimony?
That will be fine. That will be fine. All right, court will be in recess. I've got 3 o'clock, so we'll be in recess to 3:10.
Okay, so they're taking a 10-minute break, but we're not, because we're heroes. Invite another. Hopefully now, Josie, this will work. It's me. Is it me you're looking for? Josie sent it. Sent it. So, Sarah, why am I tiny on the screen? So, this is welcome to Streamlabs. So Josie, you're in. You just need to go back where you were and accept it. That's all you need to do. And then you're now a contributor, whatever. So I can now do Sarapy. Look at how clever it is. Because I'm on. Oh Jesus. Because I'm on Streamlabs, I can go up, tiny, 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 tiny. I can't do that. Well, I can, but I got it's more of a faff on StreamYard to do it. Go sailing. Go sailing. We'll go sailing. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. There we are. Hey, everybody. I hope you're well. I'm going back, sailing away. Hey, hey. Oh my God, where'd I go? I can't even find myself. Oh my God, look at it. The small dot. Right, don't make myself that small again then, because I literally couldn't. There we are, I'm there. We are sailing. You probably can't see me, I'm waving. We are sailing. No, I can't do it, unfortunately. Right, hang on, I need to up. Ahoy, sailor. Ahoy, ahoy, sailor. Right, hang on. I need to pop out for a second. I'll be back now. Guess who's back? Back again. I'm back. I got my crunchy ice cream. Here we are. Loves me a bit of crunchy, see? I love it. One of my favourite ice creams, crunchy is. So, it should be, it's 10 past, 2, 3 minutes. Right, say me, it's a crackling and stuff, you know? It's nice. Um, okay, just a reminder to Josie, you still have to accept it. And then fine. I'll change my name back to Dylan tomorrow on Twitter. Have to accept it. So once we get the hang of it, we do have now an alternate corner Twitter page account, but I don't understand it. Hmm. Okay. I don't know. It's a bit quiet today, isn't it? I feel it's quiet. But anyway, it's all good though. I'm eating my ice cream. As I suck on your lollipop, I suck on my ice cream. Okay. What's it now? So yeah, it should be back now. I think this is gonna be an interesting trial once we figure out what the actual hell is going on. You know what I mean? But we'll see.
All right, so
Oh, they're back.
we're back in session on State versus Ferriter. Still waiting on Ms. Coakley, is that correct?
No, I'm seeing if she's going to come back, or we can proceed without her.
You think we proceed without her? Okay.
Making sure.
All right, Mr. Wahid, are you ready to continue with your cross?
Oh, nice.
All right, you may go ahead and bring the jurors in, Mark.
Hi, Hannah. What you dance to? What dance do you do? Ah, rumba. Na ya rumba. Na na rumba. Na na rumba. Hey, hey, rumba.
All rise.
You're hearing.
All right, everyone may be seated. Mr. Wiley, you may continue with your cross-examination.
Getting this TV back on. So, Detective, you spoke to Ty shortly after he came out of the school, correct?
I'm not sure who you're referring to.
Well, the child you know as Ronan, who we've started calling Ty as well. So I'm just trying to use the name he wishes to be used now as Ty. So.
Okay.
All right. So you spoke to him shortly after he was picked up at school, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You turn on the TV. So I'm going to, so you saw what he looked like, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And it was the same day, probably within an hour of him being picked up from school, correct?
That's correct.
All right. I'm going to show you a short video clip of that. We can get the TV working. There we go. All right. Go ahead and play that. Okay. Do you recognize that child?
I do.
And who's that?
That is the victim in this case.
That's Ronan or Ty Ferriter?
That's correct.
Okay. And the date of this body worn is 1/31 of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
And is that the day you spoke to him at JPD?
That's correct.
And was he wearing what he's wearing here?
Yes, he was.
Okay. So this is what he looked like at that time, correct?
That's correct.
All right. I'm going to move defense 1 into evidence.
Any objection? All right, court receives and accepts defendant's exhibit 1 in evidence without objection.
All right, defense 2.
It's 1 in evidence, and we did mark the prior, so let's keep it sequential. Let's keep it, the first exhibit will be 1 for ID purposes, which was not admitted, and the objection was sustained. So this will be exhibit 2, ID purposes sequential. Let's keep it, the first exhibit will be 1 for.
So this is his wife before, so this is his Tracy. So she's out on bail as well. So yeah, Sarah, she's on bail, so I'm presuming. So I'm presuming the one next to her is probably her lawyer. So they're watching everything now. to see how it acts. If he gets jailed for 35 years, I imagine she will try and look for a plea deal for 2 years.
Which was not admitted, and the objection was sustained. So this will be Exhibit 2 in evidence without objection. Are you okay with that numbering, Ms. Murad? I don't want to screw your numbering up.
Whatever number you all want to use, I'm good with.
So that way we keep the original one separate, even though it's only ID. All right. So, all right. In any event, 2 comes in evidence.
Your Honor, I just want to make sure that it's for defense exhibit 2, that's just that snippet and not the entire.
Correct.
That is correct.
That is it. Just that section of the video that you saw. Now, at some point, you and other SWAT officers executed a search warrant on the home of the Ferriters, correct?
That's correct.
That was on February 8th of 22?
That's correct.
And the pictures that we saw on direct were after the execution of the search warrant?
That's correct.
And it was after the officers had already gone through and looked at everything that they needed to look for, correct? They were executing a search warrant, so they'd gone in and looked around the house?
They'd gone in and cleared the residence to make sure that the residence was clear and safe and made sure that it was okay for me to go and look for evidence that I needed, yes.
All right. And and then it was after that you then had CSI come in and take the pictures that you just introduced on direct, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Yes, they have other children. I think
And
they got 4.
the officers that you were with, including yourself, were all wearing.
Junior, I think they've got 3 or 4 of their own children as well, which obviously they're not with them anymore. Now anyway, so far.
Body-worn camera, correct?
That's correct.
And you walked through the house and you could see the layout of the house and all of the rooms exactly as they were at the time where you first got there, correct?
The layout was the same, yes, that's correct.
And the way it looked is the way it looked when you first walked in on February 8th of 22, correct?
That's correct.
So those body-worn cameras would be a true and accurate depiction of what the house looked like, both the layout and the physical objects in the house on February 8th of 22.
That's correct.
And that body-worn would be earlier than those crime scene pictures, correct, in time?
That's correct.
Okay. This time, Judge, I'd move to introduce body-worn camera from February 8th, 22, in the execution of the search warrant on the Ferriter home.
Do you have the exhibit?
We do.
Yes, Your Honor, it's on USB.
All right. So it's what exhibit? Exhibit 3?
It's a video.
Exhibit 3, right? Okay. All right. Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, we would object. We approach.
You can approach.
Why would you object? You should have to object to that. Why? It's only the crime scene. So I don't really understand that. Maybe none. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point, Nunia. Very good point. But then at the same time, it's like, well, is it worth? Yeah, kids. I don't know. Yeah. No comment. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but that's a very good point, Nunia. I don't actually know that. Maybe that's why it's so low. You're right. I'm thinking about that. Maybe it's 2 years. What parent would accept a plea of 2 years, but no further contact with the children? Because one of them is quite young. I think they're like 4 or 5 years old. I believe anyway. Now. So yeah, that's a good point. That is. They've not seen them. I don't believe for 2 or 3 years. No, yeah, that's a perfect explanation. Obviously, we don't know. We don't know if that is, but that would be a really good explanation. No, not all of them are adopted. No, I'm not sure how many are adopted, but they have definitely got at least one biological. I think they've got 3 biological children, but I definitely know that they got one. But I presume the I think it's 3. I think it's 3. Um, but we're gonna find out throughout this trial anyway. Because they talked about a girl that they adopted first, and then they adopted this kid. Then, before this kid arrived, they had their own biological. child, but then I don't know how old that is, so it might just be one. But yeah, you know what? It might just be one. Friggin' Nora, the host with the most. I'll Google it now because now I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Cheeky buggers, right? I get copyrighted. The company YouTube sends me a thing saying, "Hey, if you make whatever money you make on this video, this company gets it now, not you." Which is a bit of a P take, 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 P take. Right. Oh, no. Um, ba 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 ba. Do 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 do. All right, let's have a look here then. No, can't see anything there. Can't see anything there. Law enforcement has an obligation to conduct investigation. Boom, 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 boom. It just says the couple had 3 other children living in the home. They've been removed by the Florida Department of Children and Families. Police said the boy had been adopted with Ferriters. They did not mention the status of the other 3 children. Okay. Okay. If we all say agree, well, it's too late now. It's the other video. It's this morning's video. But it is what it is. But I hope we don't. Actually, we just don't want them to make any money. So, right. So whilst they're doing that, I'm just gonna. I'll be back. I just want to chuck my rubbish, and I'll be back. Jesus, they love a sidebar.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we're going to take another break. I need to review some video before I have it presented to you, if at all. So that means we're going to take a quick recess for you, and we'll call you back as soon as I've done what I need to do out here. So don't get too comfortable, but it'll be, I'm told the video is 13 minutes, and I do need to review it prior to making an evidentiary ruling. All right, everyone may be seated. All right, so let's cue up this video for me to review. Yeah, so Ms. Murad, thank you. Go right. I only want you to show me what you're intending to play before the jury and what will be admitted into evidence. And I think you also need to state clearly on the record which body cam segment it is for which officer so that it's readily identifiable for record purposes.
I don't actually, I would have to look and see whose body worn camera it is. When I was provided it, we don't necessarily get that. I didn't have the evidence.com link. However, this is a body worn camera. I'll put it in the exhibit. It's 2022. I'll figure out a way to identify it. And we're starting this at 4:20.
Okay. Yeah, just turn it so I can see it.
And this is defense exhibit 3. It is the body worn of the
Okay.
on December 8th.
All right, you can hit play, and this is a 13-minute segment.
No, it's being played from 4 to 20.
Looks about 8 minutes, I guess.
Police Department search warrant. Police Department search warrant. The police department, the search warrant for the residence. We step out of the home, do it now.
Open door right, and I have a long haul party, it's gonna be for the home.
You're the police department. We have a search warrant for this residence. Please step out of the home, do it now.
Move all the way, I'm gonna make one. Just go ahead and be on that thing. You're gonna,
You're the police department. We have a search warrant for 277, Grand Point North. If there's anybody present in this residence, please step out with your hands up, do it now.
All right, give it a slide.
Yep.
They want me to walk.
Yep.
You guys have a ball?
Yeah, we have a ball.
All right, thank you.
That's why I make a note at 5:19.
This is a dead wall. Open it up. Open it up. Police department search warrant. Open it up. Hold it. Shield, let's come here. Shield. Shield. You're the police department search warrant. You not come like this. You're the police department search warrant.
Oh, yeah.
Take that from yourself. You're the police department search warrant. Clear. All right, ready to clear this one? Hold it. Hold it. Give me one. Give me one. Gotcha. Police department search warrant.
On the bathroom, and my mother will tell you here.
All right, let's clear this way first.
Yeah. Hold this seat right here. Hold that.
Clear. Who's coming out?
Oh, we got all the pieces on.
Yep.
All right.
Hold. Hold. Police department search warrant. Clear.
Look on that.
Closet. Clear.
From the right there?
Yep. You're gonna put it on search warrant.
Go ahead and push hold this. Go ahead and push hold for safety.
Go ahead. Jared. Jill, right here. Push. Jared, pull. Jared, pull out. Jill, good. Yeah. Hold that long.
Hold it over all the way across.
Yeah, hold that. We'll go work over there. Yes. You're gonna place it on search warrant. Place it on search warrant.
I was saying,
Go ahead and push that wall. Jill.
this is gonna be for the garage.
With you. Place it on search warrant.
Yeah. I'm gonna open it.
You're gonna place it on search warrant.
Over here. Open room on the left. Keep going. Slow. Can you get this?
Yeah.
With your feet here and hold that.
Yep. I'm with you. Hold that.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Take a look, right? It was going my head on the load today. That's clear. Right. Okay, clear. Coming to you, Matt.
Look around that. Open door right.
With you. I'm gonna roll in there.
Check outside. Yeah,
This is all. Clear. Coming back to you. Blue. Okay. Hold it first. Hold back from there. All right, time you guys. Sound you holding? Okay. Please call search warrant. Please perform the search warrant. Let's lead into your please perform the search warrant. You're going to please search warrant. Clear. Yo, once you pop that wall right here. Good. Alright. Ready? Two. Please park search warrant. Please park search warrant. Okay, cool. That's it. Please park search warrant. Let's do it for now. Clear. Yeah, and then we have, hey, can you pull out the third ladder? Yeah. All right. Yeah, go ahead and clear that. Check the back patio. Just stand by and check the back patio. All right. Please call the search warrant. Clear. Dominic. Dominic. Stand by. We do the check. Check the United States. Start your secondary search. You can start this one. Just 23 and you can figure out how that is. Hold on a second. Here, can you clear that mic out of the way? Can you go backwards more? That'll work. Alright, we are front door. Close that. Yeah, I got you. Alright, we are front door. Everybody yeah, they can. Yeah. You are going to go out. One, two, got shield, two. Yeah. Go off. Yep.
Does that conclude the video? Yes. All right, let me hear a brief argument from the state on your objection again.
Your Honor, again, noted at sidebar the fact that there are weapons drawn. That is prejudicial in this case. It's not relevant. I understand that. There are some portions where, beginning from, I know that the defendant did the portion of the 4 minutes and 20 seconds, but up until then, thank you.
That portion should not be shown. Also,
Up to what portion?
I know they started at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. The beginning 4 minutes and 19 seconds should not be shown. So if they're starting it at 4 minutes and 20 seconds, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is that this is the execution of the search warrant. The detective was not part of the execution of the search warrant. He was present after the fact or even at that time, but he did not himself go into the house until after when the CSI was taking pictures. And the fact that there's weapons drawn, there are officers that have like the protective shield, none of that is relevant to them showing the layout of the house. If they want to show the layout of the house, there may be a different body-worn camera to do that.
All right, response, Mr. Wright, and then I'll make a ruling.
Thank you. So I laid foundation with the detective. The detective was there. It's really a question of does this truly and accurately depict the layout of the house?
Yes, but in a way that's not, in a way that's probative and not unduly prejudicial. And that's a concern I have. So I want you to address the prejudice argument, because after seeing the video, I have some concern about prejudice of showing that. And there being much more available means to show the layout of the house without having the potential prejudice of showing guns drawn by law enforcement on execution of a search warrant.
So I don't know that, I don't know who the prejudice is to, but the fact is that the layout of the house, first of all, this is the first time they go into the house, is the best evidence of what that house looked like before any law enforcement touched anything. Secondly, the pictures that were introduced of each room don't actually show the proximity and the distance. For example, the garage to the kitchen, and it's one short hallway between the two, that where the master bedroom is, where they decided to put the toddler, which is right across from the master bedroom. It also, when you have the video going through the house, you get a sense of the size of the house. This is not a 5,000, 6,000 square foot house. This is about a 3,000 square foot house. You also get a sense of the proximity of the children's rooms. They go in and there's one room, bathroom, room. These are all very tight. These are generally small rooms. You get a better sense of that, the size of those rooms.
Mr. White, are you telling me there are no other body-worn cam videos that don't have weapons drawn that can achieve the same purpose of showing the layout of the house?
So we looked through to find, so obviously all the officers who are breaching have weapons drawn. So we went through for those officers who first go in to see. Now, I think the officer whose body camera we have shown the court has the least amount of time where there's a gun in the picture. As you could see most of the house from that. It's not blocking the view, which is why that one is selected. And I think every officer upon entry had a gun drawn. So there is not one picture or video of body worn on entry without a gun or a shield.
All right, so I did not hear a question about Officer Ryan, I think it was Coleth, whether he had a body-worn camera. He was the first one there. He went and observed the structure, the first witness. Are there any other? The very Ryan Kolnick. He didn't. All right. The first officer that went inside was whom?
He didn't have a body worn.
He did not have a body worn camera.
On a prior day, so we didn't have a body worn on that prior.
All right. So, is there any body worn camera that shows the layout of this premises at any point in time, at or near the time of the alleged incident?
There were subsequent body worn cams after the breaching where the officers are walking around the house during the execution of the search warrant, but there's not a walkthrough.
Okay. All right. My ruling is I'm going to sustain the state's objection. I find this, quite frankly, to be unduly prejudicial to both sides, and the prejudice is outweighed by the probative value of merely showing the layout of the premises. It's without prejudice to the defense to use other means, other body-worn camera segments to show the layout in a situation that's not nearly as energized as what's shown on this body-worn camera here. So if you've got other body-worn camera that shows the layout or where the rooms are situated or what's in the rooms where guns are not drawn, I will allow it. But I'm not going to allow the playing of this video before the jury. Let's have this marked as Defense Exhibit 3 for ID, and it'll be part of the record for appellate purposes. All right. Mr. Wade, are you ready to continue with your cross?
I am.
All right. You may go ahead and have the jurors brought back out. Let's go ahead and take that off the screen. Jury entering. All right, everyone may be seated. Mr. Wahid, you may continue with your cross-examination.
Detective, on direct examination, you said so you had subpoenaed all of the Ring videos, correct?
That's correct.
And those Ring videos were from January 5th to February 1st of 2022, correct?
Excuse me. I apologize. May I refer to the search warrant?
Yes.
Thank you. And it was a search warrant, not a subpoena. And the date range was from December 28th, 2021 to January 31st, 2022.
December 28th, 2021 to January 28th, you said?
December 28th, 2021 to January 31st, 2022.
All right. And in that month and a few days, there were 21,000 different video clips that you obtained, correct?
That's correct.
And you said you reviewed most of them, correct?
That's correct.
And on direct, you said that that the child used that Home Depot bucket to both urinate and defecate.
That's correct.
Which video did you ever see where he defecated in that bucket?
I did not see a video where he defecated in the bucket.
Okay. And you're aware that the Ferriters had very recently moved into that house, correct?
That's correct.
Somewhere in late December of 2021.
That's correct.
Shortly before the Ring camera was set up and where the dates of the videos start. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in the pictures that you'd introduced on direct, you can see in the master bedroom a picture, a big picture that is still on the ground in the master bedroom. You see boxes in other parts of the house. There's still an effort of moving in happening that you can see evidenced in those pictures, correct?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled. If you know, you can answer.
If you're saying that it appears that they were just moving in, it didn't appear to me that they were just moving in the residence. It appeared that the residence had been lived in for some time, especially if you looked in the garage. You could see that there were several items that were there that had been appeared to be stored there for some time, and there was also a subsequent enclosure in which the victim was made to stay in.
So it's your position that they had not recently moved in?
My position is, you stated by those photographs, if I could speculate, if it appeared that they had just moved in. By those photographs, no. By their testimony and what was told to me, I was advised that they had just recently purchased the house, and I was advised that they had just recently moved into the house. Those photographs, to me, it didn't appear that they had just moved in.
When you came to the house on January 30th, that was the first time you came to the house, correct?
That's correct.
And Tim Ferriter was not at the house, correct?
That's correct.
And you subsequently learned he wasn't even in the country at the time, correct?
That's correct.
No other questions?
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may begin, Ms. Black.
On cross, you were asked about seeing Ronan defecating in the Home Depot box?
That's
or
correct.
The bucket? Okay. But you said that you did not see that on video.
That's correct.
That was not on the video in the Jupiter home, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But he did speak to you about what had happened in Arizona.
That's correct.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir, that concludes your testimony. You may step down. Thank you for being here.
Your Honor, he's still under a defense subpoena should we wish to call him.
Okay, so you're not excused from all further proceedings, but you're excused for purposes of your testimony today.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, for the next witness, we need to set up the technology so that it can be properly presented to you. So that's going to be about a 10-minute process. I'm going to have you retired to the jury room again. It won't be that long. As soon as we're geared up to present the testimony to you through the technology, then we'll have you right back out here. All right, everyone may be seated. Before I let the attorneys leave for the other courtroom, is there any special instruction that the state wishes the court to read regarding the in-camera testimony that they're going to be seeing?
Your Honor, I'm not sure about the in-camera, but I do know that Ms. Matheau did print out a instruction of evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts, since they, I believe that the witness, Fiona, will be talking about Arizona. And I know that Your Honor had introduced that evidence as voting law.
All right, so two things. I will read that instruction, but I also think because this testimony is being presented to them in a way that is not the normal process with somebody on the witness stand, that I can just give them an instruction off the top of my head that they're to regard this testimony the same as they would any other testimony received in this courtroom and to consider it for all purposes. Any objection to that from either side? Okay.
My recommendation on the Williams Door one, though, is I'll alert you, and then I'll just stop, and Your Honor can instruct.
Okay, so you'll let me know at the appropriate time that the state wishes to have that read. That's fine with the court.
Your Honor, I've got to invoke the rule of sequestration. It hasn't been an issue, but if I could just invoke the rule this time.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the rule of sequestration has been invoked, and that is a rule of evidence and procedure that says that if there are any prospective witnesses that are in the courtroom, you must leave and remain outside of the courtroom until you are called as a witness. That's designed so that the witnesses do not get the opportunity to hear any other testimony prior to their own testimony. Once your testimony is concluded, usually the witnesses can remain in the courtroom after that time and view the remaining part of the proceedings. I do rely on counsel to tell me and keep track of the gallery to tell me if there are any witnesses that you intend to call that have come into the courtroom and alert me as quickly as possible so that I can make sure that they're asked to leave. Are there any witnesses that are in the courtroom right now that either side intends to call? No, Your Honor. All right. Has either side seen any witnesses during any of the testimony thus far of people in the courtroom that they would intend to be calling as witnesses in this case?
She does have a listed witness here, but I don't know if she intends to call her. I assume not.
Yeah, I don't intend to at this point, but we can have her step out in an abundance of caution.
Yeah, I think in an abundance of caution, you should have her step out if she's on the witness list, unless you formally excuse her from
I was just praising Sarah P and Josie, so thank God you did not hear that, guys, because I was really nice about them, So Dirk, how you doing, Dirk? Nice to see you, my man. Lady Law, I know. Kate, I know. What a boomer. What a boomer. Um, so I just set up a new Twitter page, so I'm trying to look at that, set that up, get that done, follow it. It's called the Alternate Corner, but I don't know how you follow it. I don't know what I'm doing. Um, but Sarah P and Josie will be there as well, so let's go. Um, I think it's going to be. I'm curious about what the company broadcast is. If this is suspicious in regard that it coincides with what I've been hearing is going to start happening elsewhere. This is Core TV, so Core TV is streaming it. They're the ones broadcasting it, but we're with Law and Crime that have tapped into it. So Core TV do all of these things, and then Law and Crime and others tap into it. So there's a lot of minors, not minors as in Emma's like what minors? No, little children. Um, oh, but okay, let me see if Core TV operates in the UK at all. I don't. I know there's a Core TV UK, but I don't think they operate in the UK, Jonathan. I don't think so. So there's obviously children will be testifying, so it'll be interesting to see how that works because they're not gonna be in court. They're gonna be in another room. They're gonna be doing it over Skype or Teams or wherever. So far the sound hasn't been great, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Let me see, right. Dirk is always lurking. Dirk, I love Dirk. Always lurking. Dirk the Diggler. Um, there's a lot of people we're missing. Erin Hack's working hard out there. There's a few others. Hopefully, you all can make Matt more tomorrow. Hey, by the way, maybe we'll have the lovely Lady Law joining us potentially. I've sent her a link. She might be joining us if depends what time we finish, and if she's available. She's hopefully going to be helping me with the after show if there is when fucking tomorrow. Send you bloody link. No, it's after work for you. Well, I mean, it depends. It depends on what time we finish tomorrow. We might be finished before you come back from work, so then you're not on. But it depends. You come on if you are able to come on, and if we're finished, then do you know what I mean? So it's gonna be one of those. No, that's all good. It's all good. It's all good, Lily Love. They're just talking about you again. But it's all good. Sky TV in the UK. I don't have Sky TV. Um, so the definitely got Sally, definitely got Matt, definitely got Dr. Hind. Maybe the Gilf will come on depending on work and scheduling, and if we go overtime. I know. I'm a porn king. So depends what's I'll chat to you later. So it depends what's happening across the board. Um, I think she might be a witness, Katie. I think they said, didn't they say that she might be a witness? The wife. I'm just wondering. That's all. But anyway, we'll see what happens when we get back. Um, so yeah, we'll see what happens. With that. So yeah, tomorrow big day. Matt's looking forward already. I sent him a link, bang, straight back. Super excited, mate. I was like, cool, cool. Um, I was like, cool. So he's super excited to be here. Hopefully get a big push for him tomorrow with everything. Um, So yeah, so obviously you got me, lovely host. I've noticed that do you know what? I'm a really good host. I've proclaimed it. I'm not a good guest. I'm an excellent host, not good guest. Um, so yeah, I've assessed myself. I was looking over the weekend, going, well, what am I good at? I was like scratching my head for ages. I scratched my balls for a while. Just go, what am I good at? Good at scratching my balls. I'll tell you that much. Um, on a serious note, I was like, do you know what? I'm the hostess with the mostest. You're right. You're right, John. You're right, Jonathan. Simply the best. Bow, bow, bow. No, but I genuinely think that I'm a much better host than I am a guest. Because maybe it's controlling, I don't know, but I've enjoyed interviewing Solomon. I've enjoyed interviewing Matt. I just think I got a different style. Oh, thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, do genuinely appreciate that, Hannah, because I always don't think I do well as a guest. So I thank you for that. I appreciate that comment. That's the first time I've ever heard a positive comment about me being a guest. So thank you. I don't know. I think I probably prefer being a host as well. I mean, just I got the control then, and I don't like set questions and stuff like that. I think I think fast on my feet, and I like that. I just like to take stuff down a different avenue. But also depends on the guest you've got. Like I mean, look, Matt and Solomon were excellent, or are excellent, and the other guest I normally have is Lady Law. And we talk about dirty bitches. Do you know what I mean? We're not safe together. We're not safe together. You like to boss everyone else around. You are absolutely you, Sarah P. You are absolute. You're a bitch. You're a bitch, but I love you. I love you, Sarah P. I can't wait for Sarah P and Josie to be on here. They're going to be joining me. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I hope it's a naked stream. Yeah, I hope it's a naked stream, topless stream. Let's go. Um, no, I know you do. I know. And if I call Sarah P a bitch, just be known because I've been accused of stuff. It's endearing. If I call you a bitch or whatever, it's endearing. Do you know what I mean? Lady Law gets it more than anything. The Gilf gets it more than anything. Um, so yeah. No, it won't be. I've stopped with topless streams. We're not doing any more topless streams. No chance. Thank you, Nunia. You're very welcome and easy to connect with too. Thank you, Nunia. I've been a bit off today. I'm on medicine today, for my bad back, so I'm a bit drowsy today. Um, no, I've not spun the wheel today. Shall I do it now? Shall I do it now then? Do you want me to do it now? I'll spin the wheel now to get out the way. I forgot about the wheel. Hannah! I forgot about the wheel, Hannah. Let's spin the wheel now. Uh, yeah, but you've seen the comments, Lady Law. Do you know what I mean? I'm not self-conscious, but I didn't appreciate some of those comments. Do you know what I mean? And I just think, why give people bait? Because they're all gonna make fun of me, so I'd rather not. That's the only reason. Why actually give people that motive to make fun of me? I know, but it's better not to. Do you know what I mean? If I'd rather be the bigger man, like because they say I got bigger tits than them, so I must be right. Um, I need to make myself smaller. Normally, the women say you need to make yourself bigger, but hey, oi, 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 oi. Oh, why is that so big? That's what she said. Oi, oi. Right, let's get this down here. Thank you. And they're curvy. I am curvy. Like I got man boobs. I know I got man boobs. It's not like, you know, like you can pinch them. Do you know what I mean? When me and the law meet in person. We'll get them both out, and we'll she can feel mine, and I'll feel hers. And I bet you mine's bigger, and that's not an insult to her. Just mine's a little bit man boobs, isn't it? Right, let's spin the wheel. Let's have a look. I'm not doing fucking whiskey again. I done whiskey yesterday. I knew he was ill with that whiskey. Easy, easy, tiger. Just means at the end, then I'll end stream. I gotta take a picture. She is gonna. She's gonna go nuts. She already owes me a bloody stream. I know she's gonna be mad. I know she's gonna be mad. She owes a stream already. She owes us a stream already, guys. I'll send her a message now. That's just too funny. That's just too funny. Um, Let me post this to Erin. I think they're back, but we will go back now. There we are. I'm gonna have a sweet. Fuck you. No, it's not over, Jonathan. It's not over. It's not over. Taco taco time. What does this mean? That just means that Erin Hack and +1 has to do a stream with me. They have to do a stream. And then we've also got Josie and Sarah P, who owe me a stream, but they still haven't put a date together yet. So, yes.
In here, and then we'll go ahead and start by having you administer.
Let me find it. Oh, that's just made by the. It would be even funnier.
Dedicated link to here. So how do you at this point?
Yes.
Okay, that's all set up.
I'm on a Zoom as well, so I hear you.
Okay, so they're receiving audio, not video. This is dedicated link to here. So I think we're good to go.
Okay. Is that where the sound's coming from? It sounds coming from that TV.
It's not coming from the TV.
Is it just coming from?
It sounds like it's coming from now. And Ms. Black, who's the witness that's going to be testifying first? Okay, do we have the clerk there to administer oath, or are we going to do the oath remote?
I'm not sure if this is me. Try. Your Honor, I don't know if you can hear me. This is Brianna Coakley.
All right, can you hear me fine, Ms. Coakley?
I can hear you fine. We do not have the clerk here. If the clerk was going to come, I was going to ask if she could bring the photographs that were just entered, so I can show them to this witness. But if not, it's not a major deal.
All right, so that's what I'm going to have one of the clerks, if he could, go down to 10G and take the photographs so that Ms. Coakley and Mr. Waheed has them physically. And then once you've administered the oath, Dana, you could come back. Ms. Coakley, are there going to be any other exhibits that the clerk's going to have to manage?
No, and we're not going to enter any exhibits. I just want to show some of the photographs.
Okay. All right, so once you get down there, Dana, we'll get the jurors in here, and then we'll go ahead and start by having you administer the oath in the presence of the jurors.
And just for the record, the state entered into evidence Exhibit 15, which is a compilation of all the paper copies of Exhibit 1 through 13. So State 15 is just the USB with all the pictures on it that were shown for jurors.
Any objection? All right. So when the jury comes back out, just move 15 in evidence, because I like to receive evidence in front of the jury. Okay? All right. So Mr. Waheed, Ms. Coakley, are you ready to proceed?
Otherwise, we're ready.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and bring the jurors. No, as soon as Dana gets there, it won't take a minute. Then we'll get started.
Let's just turn the volume down a little bit.
And while we're waiting for her to get there, am I okay with both sides with me telling the jury that both the state and the defense have agreed that the next witness's testimony can be taken in the manner that it's being presented to them? Because it ended up being by agreement, correct?
That's fine, Your Honor.
No. I'm talking about the method of testimony. That was by agreement of the parties. All right. Okay.
I think this is the daughter. Is this the daughter? I don't. Yeah, I know. I'll turn it down a little bit more. It's quite hard. At least it's your year hole, not your other hole. Oi, oi, Lady Law! Yes, Lady Law!
And before we get started, I do want to thank our IT people for working through the
And he holds a goal. Hey!
logistics of this. It's kind of tricky having a Zoom link and also doing in-camera type testimony. And for those people that are watching and listening to the proceedings on Zoom during this stage of the trial, you will still receive the audio link from the court, but you will not receive the video link because by agreement, the parties have agreed that the testimony of the witness in terms of any broadcast, her likeness and image will be blurred out or not shown.
Right, we'll test the volume once they come on because it's loud on the other side of the Skype video. Bum 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 bum. Okay.
Ms. Coakley, I don't see Dana there yet, so just confirm for me when she arrives so that I don't miss her.
He is entering at this very moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Need a second? Okay. She's here. We're all settled.
All right, thank you for rushing down there, Dana. Okay, all sides ready to proceed with the next witness. All right,
Yes,
Mark,
Your Honor.
you may go ahead and bring the jurors out. And Ms. Black, I'll deal with your Exhibit 15 before we start this.
Jury entering.
Jury entering.
All right, everyone may be seated. All right, before we begin with the next witness, Ms. Black, you have another exhibit to admit at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, the state would admit State's Exhibit 15, which is all of the pictures that were admitted into evidence, State's Exhibits 1 through 13, just on the USB drive.
All right, any objection?
Okay.
All right, so the court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 1515 without objection. All right, thank you, Ms. Black. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the next phase of the proceeding is going to be the testimony presented to you via remote technology. I need to let you know that both sides have agreed in advance to the presentation of the testimony of the next witness in the format that we're presenting it to you. This is live testimony. This individual is in another courtroom, happens to be my main courtroom that they're in and set up for the direct and cross-examination. The thing that's important for you is, even though this is being presented to you remotely, you're to view it and consider it and listen to it the same as you would if this young lady was sitting here in the stand, on the witness stand in this particular courtroom, just because of the way it's being presented. It's being done remotely at this point in time. So with that, and again, you're to consider this the same as you would any other testimony and disregard the format in which it's being presented to you. With that, Ms. Coakley, are you ready to call your next witness?
We are, Your Honor. At this time, the state would call Fiona Ferriter.
Okay. All right. This time I'm going to have the clerk in courtroom 10G, if you could, go ahead and administer the oath to Ms. Ferriter.
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
All right. Ms. Coakley, you may begin at your convenience.
She sounds young as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you please tell us how old you are? And what grade are you currently in? Now, tell us a little bit about
Ms. Coakley,
Ms.
Ms. Coakley, I have not heard her last two answers. Let's do a mic test on her.
So the judge indicated that you here, so we're going to try. You go ahead and give us how old you are again.
All right, that's better. Okay. All right, and just stop for just, that is acceptable, but I want to just get a sound check and a video check from the jurors. Video is fine as far as the distance. And if you have any problem with sound, raise your hand so I can alert them as quickly as possible. All right, that's good. Ms. Coakley, you may proceed.
Fiona, I think you're a little soft-spoken, so because we're dealing with these mics, we're just going to try and you speak as loud as possible, if that's okay. Okay. So you said you're 17 years old? Are you nervous about being here today? Is this a topic that you like to talk about? No. Is it kind of embarrassing to be here and have to talk about these things?
Okay, I'm going to, Ms. Coakley, Ms. Coakley, I'm going to have your assistance to make sure she does everything she can to project, because she has a very soft voice and it's not coming. If I'm not hearing it, I know my jurors are not hearing it. So, Ms. Ferriter, as best you can, even if you have to feel like you're shouting, make sure you project, okay? Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yeah, I understand.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Coakley.
When you are nervous, I noticed you giggled a little bit. Is that a nervous tick that you have?
I get nervous, so I do that a little. Yeah.
Now, we're here to talk, do you know what we're here to talk about, more or less?
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about how your family was made up in January of 2022. So that's right when you moved back to Florida. Who was part of your family at that point?
So my parents, my sister, and my brothers.
Okay. What were your parents' names? And tell us about your siblings. What were their names? Okay. Who is the oldest sibling in your family? Okay. Who's second?
All right. Ms. Coakley, they're still having a problem hearing her, so Ms. Ferriter, I'm going to...
IT here, she is speaking like very close to the microphone and pretty clearly here, and we're going to see if IT can help us.
All right, so let's see if IT can increase the gain, and I'm going to ask you to go back to the last two questions because I think that's where she dropped off. Maybe you can increase the gain on that mic.
Mic. 1, 2, check, 1, 2, check, 1, 2.
Which? Then I think he's gonna switch mics for us, and so if you just give us one moment, well. Okay.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
What if we can?
Yeah, caught by cheap mics. Fiona Ferriter. Thank you, Sarah. Place pin message. Yeah, Sarah has to do it like this because I can't, for whatever reason, I can't pin my own stuff, which is weird. Yeah, so all the children do in Zoom. I'm not sure how many are going to be testifying, but they agreed in. This should have happened in Zach's trial.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Her voice is very soft, though. I'm sure that's part of the problem. All right, I can hear you fine. Hers is the voice we need to test, though.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, say that again.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, as long as you keep that level, I think we can hear you, but don't let your voice drop off. You ever been on the sidelines watching a sports event and yelling? Don't be afraid to do that here, so go ahead.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you were telling us about the makeup of your family in December of 2022. I asked you, you said you lived with your two parents. What were their names?
Timothy and Tracy.
Okay. And you said that you lived with 3 siblings. Tell me the 3 siblings' names.
Ronan, Nola, Pierce. Yeah, Ronan, Nola, and Pierce.
And you said that you were the oldest sibling. What's the next sibling in the age order?
That would be Ronan.
And then who comes next?
Nola.
And then who's the last?
Pierce.
How
close in age are you to Ronan, approximately?
2 years?
Okay, so you're 2 years older?
Roughly.
Okay, so you're 17 now, almost 18?
Correct.
And so that he's about 15, just turning 16 approximately?
16, yes, yeah.
Yeah, he just turned 16?
Yes.
And how far away is between Ronan and Nola in age? If you don't know, that's okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
Are you guys kind of relatively close in age?
Yeah, we're all relatively close.
Within a year or two of each other?
Correct.
Were you close in grades in school?
Correct. Yes.
And how about Pierce? Is he close in age?
No.
Okay, how old is Pierce now? Approximately.
I want to guess 4.
Okay, so he's kind of, through much of this, was a smaller baby or a toddler?
Yes.
Okay, while you and your sister Nola and Ronan were much closer in age?
Yes, you were.
Okay. Were you originally born in the United States?
No.
Where were you born?
I was born in China.
Okay. How did you end up coming to the United States?
I was adopted.
Okay, and who were you adopted by?
Interest.
Do you know how old you were when you were adopted?
No.
Okay. Were you a baby or a toddler?
I could walk, sort of, so maybe in between.
Okay, so a little though.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you know whether or not your brother Ronan was born in the United States?
Yes. No, he wasn't born.
Okay. Do you know where he was born?
Vietnam.
Okay. Was he also adopted?
Yes.
Okay. What about Nola? Was she adopted?
No.
And Pierce, was he adopted?
No.
Now, you said that in January in 2022, everyone lived together. And where did you live? What city did you live in?
We lived in Jupiter.
Is that in Palm Beach County?
Yes.
Now, growing up in the time that you were living in Jupiter, maybe one before, who was kind of the rule maker for your parents?
My dad.
Was Tracy involved in enforcing the rules or making the rules?
She helped support the rules.
Okay. But who was the one that dictated what the rules and what you had to follow?
Tim.
If you had a dispute or disagreement about a rule or whether or not it was fair, is that something that you could talk about with Tim?
No.
Okay. And why is that?
Because he would reason us out of it, or I just wouldn't be able to say anything.
Was he the disciplinarian in the house?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about, you said in January of 2022 you guys lived in Florida. When did you come to Florida?
We moved roughly in December. Let's see. I'm sorry, the year was a little confusing.
So I think we said January of 2022 is when you were with your when you guys lived together as a family.
Correct.
Did you move that December right before?
Yeah, December previous.
Okay, so that would have been December of 2021?
Correct.
So the time frame that we're talking about, is that like 5 or 6 weeks?
Roughly.
That you lived in that house in Jupiter?
Yes.
Okay. And you moved to Florida. Where did you move from?
We moved from Arizona.
How long had you been in Arizona at that point?
Approximately 5 years.
Prior to Arizona, where did you live?
Florida.
So this was your second time coming back to Jupiter, Florida?
Yes.
When you lived in Florida before, was that like elementary school?
Hi, Chloe.
Much younger?
Yes. Up until 5th grade.
Now, when you moved back to Jupiter, what neighborhood did you move into?
When we moved back?
Yeah, in
Landing.
What type of house was that?
It was a small one-story house.
Okay. Single family home?
Correct.
Okay. How many bedrooms did it have?
Sarah, send all love to your daughter. Don't worry about it. It's all good. We could be finished before long. So listen to it. Enjoy yourself. Put your feet up. You did a great job. Thank you very much, Sarah. Love you as always. Chloe, hello. Nice to see you.
3.
Who had the bedroom?
So the master bedroom was him and Tracy. Nola and I each had our own bedroom. And then, yeah, if you wanted to have the woman in the garage as a bedroom, then that's where No, sorry. Pierce had his
John.
his bedroom in the office. They made that into his own room.
Okay, and you said that that I wanted to count something in the garage. What do you mean by that? What was in the garage?
They had a room built for Roman.
Who had it built?
My parents.
Okay, so Tim and Tracy had that room specifically built into the garage?
Correct.
Okay. Is that room already there by the time you moved?
I don't remember.
Okay, but was it there at the very least shortly thereafter?
I saw it, at least.
And when we say that it's in the garage, was everyone else's room in the main house?
Correct, yes.
And Ronan was the only one that had to stay in the garage?
Yes.
Now, I want to show you what has already been marked as evidence and shown to the jury. There's some pictures of your home, okay? And so I want to see if you recognize any of them. You mentioned that you had a bedroom. I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as evidence as states 7A and F. Just take a look at it and tell me if you recognize whose room that is.
Yeah, that's my room.
Okay. And now I'm going to show you what's been marked as evidence as states 5A through D. It's another bedroom in the home. Whose bedroom is that?
That would be Noah's.
And then I'm going to show you what's been marked as evidence as states 4A through D. And you might need to flip because like one's a close-up. It's fine to do that. You recognize what room that is.
Yeah, so this one's Pierce's room.
And we see some mattresses on the floor there. Is that how it was when you lived there? Were there mattresses on the floor in Pierce's room? Or was there just a crib in there?
There was a lot of things in there. I can't remember specifically.
Is that a place where like Ronan slept?
No.
Okay, so just Pierce slept in there by himself?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as evidence as state 6. Tell me what that shows.
Bathroom.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as evidence as state 9. What does that show us a picture of?
That's the garage.
And in stage 9, you said that there was a structure built that your parents specifically built in the garage. Can you see it in that picture?
Yes, it's behind the racks.
Okay. And is that white building?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that white structure that's in the garage.
Yeah, that little white box in there.
Let's talk about it. Did that have any windows?
No.
Did it have a lock from the outside?
Yes.
Did it have any access from in the garage to a bathroom?
No.
Okay. And did it have lights inside of it?
I can't remember.
Now, is that the room that Ronan slept in?
Yes.
Is that room, other than just sleeping times, did he spend time or was he put in that room?
Yes.
Was Ronan allowed to be in the house by himself?
No.
Was he allowed to walk freely through the house?
No.
Was he allowed to do something like watch TV in the living room?
Not alone.
Were you allowed to do that?
Yes.
Was your sister Noah allowed to do that?
Yes.
What about snacks? Was there food freely available to Ronan in the kitchen?
No.
Would he be allowed to go and take a snack out of the fridge?
No.
What about get a drink of water if he was thirsty? Is that something he would be allowed to do?
Maybe water if someone watched him.
Only if someone watched him. And only if he's out of the room.
Yes.
Were you allowed to take a snack if you were hungry?
Yes.
Was your sister Noah allowed to get a snack if you were hungry?
Yes.
Were there times that you would receive special treats, like, desserts or snacks?
Correct.
What would happen in those instances? Would they be shared with all of your siblings?
Maybe usually rewards, and usually Noah and I receive them. It wasn't often that time also.
Okay. Are there some times that once in a while he would receive a reward?
Very rarely.
But were there times where you and Nola were getting a reward and Ty was not included in having special treats or snacks?
Yes.
Are there times through in this household growing up, were you someone who was observant of how your parents treated your other siblings?
Yes.
Did you watch and listen to things that were happening?
Yes.
Throughout your childhood?
I did.
Are you an observant person?
I would consider myself to be.
Do you ever see Ty or Ronan get punished?
Yes.
Was the type of punishment that Ty or Ronan got the same type of punishment that you or Nola would get for the same type of conduct?
No.
How was it different?
It was either more extreme or something completely different.
Room or prevented from leaving?
No.
Did you ever have to go to the bathroom only in a bucket?
No.
Were you ever required to be alone in your room in the dark?
No.
Were you and Nola allowed to have phones?
Yes.
I know,
Were you
they
allowed
know.
to play games on your devices?
Yes.
Was Ty allowed to play games?
No. Did not unsupervised.
Was he allowed to have a device?
No.
Now, you said that you saw Ty, through your time in Florida, or Ronan, get punished. Did you ever see him get punished for little things?
Yes.
Like what?
For me, it would be just not answering questions. Maybe he plays a little too rough with one of us, or he talks back.
When you
Hi,
say he
Chrissy.
wasn't answering questions, what do you mean?
Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Unicorn.
Let's say he did something wrong and they asked him about it. He wouldn't say anything. He just wouldn't answer them.
And what would be the response to that?
If he didn't answer them to a certain point, he'd be sent to his room. Or if he did answer, he'd still be sent to his room.
Right. And when he's sent to his room, is he then allowed to leave?
No.
Is he locked in there?
Yes, he did leave. I don't know if he was locked all the time, but I know he wasn't allowed to leave.
I've adjusted the audio.
You see both Tim and Tracy force him into the room. Make him go into the room.
Hopefully the audio's a little bit better, guys. I've adjusted it. I can adjust it a bit more as well, just to see if I can get rid of that bad.
And did you see both
Noah's
Tim
Jonathan.
and Tracy involved in the punishment and discipline?
Can you be more specific?
Or there's something that one person did or the other person did, but were they both?
They were both involved in the punishment.
Now, over time, growing up with your brother, did you notice him become less communicative?
Yes. He shut down.
Okay. Did you notice him over time, especially toward the end, become more withdrawn?
Yes.
Did he smile then?
Yes.
And that's something you noticed kind of as his sibling?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about specifically right now the time in Florida. What was your observation about kind of how often he was in the room?
How often he was in the room?
Yeah, did you see him around the house very often?
Not inside the house.
No. Where would you see him?
Outside.
Okay. Tell me about that. What would he be doing outside?
Yard work, moving the outdoor furniture.
So when he's outside, is it like that he has the opportunity to freely play?
No, it's not. It's not for him to do anything.
Okay. What kind of yard work is he doing?
At the time we were moving in, so it was mostly moving supplies outside the house.
Okay. Was there some yard work or landscaping involving shelves that he was required to do?
Yes.
I know, Katie.
Is that something that you were required?
I think it's better now, though. I can stand it now.
Did you see him doing that?
Yes, I did see him moving the shelf.
And you said that you would observe him outside. When he was told to go outside, did he have the free?
Well, I think the audio's better. Also, the subtitles are pretty smack on. I think they're quite smack on now. I can understand it all now, to be quite honest with you guys. And if you look at this subtitles, they're spot on pretty much as well.
Option of coming back into the house?
No.
How would that work?
So if he was put outside, one of them would know that he's outside. One of my parents would know he's outside, and then if he got done with work, he'd come and wait for them to let him back.
Okay, would he be allowed to just come back in?
Not unless someone was watching him.
Okay. And are there times when he would be locked out of being allowed back in the house?
Yes.
And then when he was let back in, would he then be able to relax around the house, or what would happen?
Not really. He'd either go to his room or just go somewhere to be monitored.
Okay. Now, in your
Ah,
house,
fair
would
enough,
you
Nunia.
eat meals with him regularly?
Fair enough, Nunia.
Where would he be while you would be eating?
Most likely in his room.
And what about when you would get home from school? Would he be with you doing homework in the kitchen or the living room?
No, he did most of his homework in his room. I didn't see him very often.
You didn't see him very often out in around the house?
Around the house.
Okay, so when you saw him, when he was home and you were home, for the most part, was he one of two places?
Yes.
And what are those two places?
Room or outside.
Were you allowed after school to come and go freely around the house?
Yes.
And your mom, was she around during those times of the day after school?
Yes.
She didn't work?
No.
Were there times that the defendant, Tim, in this case, was also around?
Yes.
In the house?
Yes.
Would he sometimes do stuff?
Sorry, Katie. Apologies. I've reduced my volume now, guys, for this. I didn't realize. Sorry. I've reduced it, so hopefully you can turn it up.
With either Pierce, you, or Nola? Like after school, would Tim or Tracy do things with you all after school occasionally?
We would eat meals. I can't think of.
Okay, but Ronan wasn't with you when that happened?
Not often.
Now, when you say not often, was there one or two times that he was out and allowed to eat meals?
He would sometimes eat with us.
The majority of the time, though, was he there?
Not that enough that I can really recall.
Now, you, at that time, were you involved in any activities at school?
I was here.
Yeah, here.
I was a part of the marching band and band in general.
Were there some times that you had football games or events that were related to the marching band?
Yes.
Sometimes on those occasions, did your brother come to the event?
Not that I can recall, but.
Where would he be during those?
If my parents were going to it, he might have been with them, or he might have been at home.
Okay. And when he was left home alone, if your parents were at your event, was he allowed to be out freely in the house?
No.
So were there family events that you or Nola went to where your brother is left home alone at the house?
Yes.
Did you personally even get the opportunity to see him very often during those 6 weeks in Florida?
Very, like passing outside maybe, or through the window.
Even when he was at home?
Yeah, so I would see him like maybe doing yard work, and I'd see him through my window, or maybe he did briefly come in the house for food or whatnot.
Now, was there a time in Florida where your brother ran away?
Yes.
And do you remember that happening?
Yes.
Was it over a weekend?
I believe so.
Okay, and what, did you end up staying at, what kind of happened when he was gone? Where were your parents?
So, I was left home alone. I believe Tracy was with Nola at a softball tournament, and Tim was, as far as I know, not present in the house.
Okay, so he's out of town maybe?
Yes.
And you said Tracy left.
Yes.
Where did she go?
I believe she went with Nola to softball.
Was that like in Jupiter around Palm Beach County, or was it out of town?
I don't remember.
Okay. But were you home alone?
Yes.
While your brother was missing?
Yes.
Were you allowed to let him back in the house?
No.
If he came?
No.
Now, I want to talk for a second about another time frame. And Your Honor, now would be the appropriate time to read that instruction.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I have an instruction on the law that I'll be reading to you at this time. The evidence you receive from FF and RF concerning other crimes, wrongs, or acts allegedly committed by the defendants will be considered by you for the limited purpose of proving motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, or corroborating the testimony of EM, and you shall consider it only as it relates to those issues. However, the defendant is not on trial for a crime, wrong, or act that is not included in the information. You cannot convict the defendant for an offense he is not charged with. Instead, he can only be convicted of the crime for which he is charged.
talk about kind of the time frame in Florida. Prior to Florida, you said you lived in Arizona.
Correct.
Tell me about the house that you lived in Arizona. What city did you live in Arizona?
I lived in Tucson.
Okay, tell me about the house you lived in.
It was a one-story house.
How many bedrooms did it have? Tell me about that.
So there were 4 bedrooms.
When you first lived there, who were the bedrooms assigned to?
So when we first initially moved there, it was Ronan, Noah, and myself.
And then did your parents have a separate bedroom?
Master's bedroom.
Okay. So you said your sister, your brother, and you each had an individual bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. And was your brother's bedroom inside the house?
No. Ronan?
Ronan.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how old approximately are you when you kind of first moved to Arizona?
I just finished the 5th grade, so I don't know what that is for me.
So you're in about the 5th grade?
Yes.
And Ronan is younger than you?
Yes.
So he's in the 3rd or 4th grade?
Yes.
At that time?
Oh, wait, no, moving?
When you first got to
Yes,
Arizona?
he had just, yes, sorry.
So is it right to say that he was probably in the 3rd or 4th grade at that point, elementary school?
Yes.
Okay, and Nola also in elementary school?
Yes.
Now, at that point, you said that he had his own room.
Yes.
That room, was it like an ordinary, regular room, or was there anything different about it?
No, it was basically a mirror of Nola's room.
Okay. Could he go and come freely in that room?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, was there any kind of lock placed on that room?
There was a latch.
Tell me about that.
There was a little latch attached to the top of the door frame. It had a little keyhole thing.
So tell me, what does that mean for the person that's inside the room?
He couldn't come out.
Okay, so it could be latched from the outside?
Yes.
Did you see that there were times when he had a room in the house that it would be latched from the outside and you'd be locked in that room?
Mm-hmm.
Would he be locked in that room in Arizona?
Yes.
Okay. Did that room have a bathroom?
No.
Now, is there at some point a time where he no longer had a room in the house?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
When our youngest brother Pierce was born, they had a room built into the garage.
Okay. Tell me about the room that was built in the garage.
No windows. It had no windows. It had an AC unit, a bed, and sometimes a bucket, or sometimes his bottles were in there before they were taken out.
Okay, tell me about that. Was there times, how would that happen?
So like about the items in his room being taken out. If he got in trouble, if something happened, they would get moved out all the way out of his room, or if he had like decorations, when he would get upset, he would take them off the walls.
Okay. And when you say they would take everything out of the room, what would be left in the room?
His bed and a small desk where he would do homework.
Now, you mentioned that the room was built into the garage. Was that house the same as the Florida house? Like, was it all on one level, or was it something different?
So the Arizona house?
The Arizona house.
Yeah, it was all on Florida. The garage, yes, had steps going down to it, but it was all on.
Now, that room in Arizona, did it have a bathroom attached to it?
The guy's room?
Yeah.
No.
Did it have any windows?
No.
Did that room lock from the outside?
Yes.
Did that room have any kind of smell?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It did not smell good.
How come?
He had his bucket in there, which he would use for his bathroom. And sometimes if he didn't have a bucket in there, it would just be on the floor.
Now, were there times in Arizona, like in Florida, where your brother would be in that room for long periods of time?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It's roughly the same idea as one here. When we did it in Florida, he got in trouble, get sent down to his room, but it was more of getting sent down. More often he was getting sent to the room.
And then how long would he be in the room for? Would it be long periods of time?
It would be long periods. I can't say off the top of my head.
Are we talking like all day?
Can I just say there were some days that I didn't really see him that often?
Yeah. And so if you didn't see him that often, was he like not at the house or where was he?
He was in his room or again outside.
Okay. So was the situation in Arizona similar in that he spent a lot of time in the room by himself?
Yes.
If he wasn't in school, where was he most of the time?
Are we talking about in Arizona?
In Arizona.
In Arizona, outside doing yard work or in his room.
Now, we talked about in Florida, when he's outside doing yard work, he couldn't just come back in. Is that the same in Florida?
Yes.
What would happen? Like, where would he just stand outside, or how would that work?
Yeah, so if he was doing yard work finished, he'd come stand outside and just wait, or one of them would go meet him outside. And by them, I mean my parents.
Okay. Was he allowed to just come back in himself?
No.
Would the door be locked?
I can't.
Okay, you don't know whether or not it was locked.
I don't know.
I don't want you to speculate. But was he allowed or freely able to come back in?
No, no.
Okay. Now, when he's outside, is he have under direct supervision there?
No. Not all the time.
So he's just kind of out there by himself?
Yes.
And your parents, Tim and Tracy, are someplace else?
Yes.
Now, you said that was roughly around the time that your brother Pierce was born. Who ended up taking over your brother Ronan's room when Pierce was born?
Pierce took Brian's room.
Okay, so that became the new baby's room.
Yes.
And you said that Pierce is now, how old did you think he was now? Around 4?
4-ish, I want to say.
Okay. So was it approximately how many years do you think was the special room in Arizona? Just an estimate.
Oh, like how
long before you moved to Florida was he kept in that room?
So the one in Arizona?
The one in Arizona, before you came to Florida.
It was roughly 2 when we got here, so maybe more than a year.
So approximately 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Roughly. That he's been in a room. That's not
before you came to Florida.
Yes.
Okay. And how old were you when you came to Florida?
So moving from Arizona to Florida.
How old were you?
So. Oh wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I got confused. Wait.
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay. So when we moved to Arizona, yeah, I had just finished the 5th grade, and then when we moved back, I was in the middle of my sophomore year.
Okay, so you were in high school.
Yes.
When you came back to Florida.
Yes.
And your brother was in middle school.
Yes.
Now, we talked a lot about your brother being in the room in Arizona. Were there times where you were concerned about whether or not your brother was getting food or being fed regularly?
Yes.
What would you do when that happened?
If I saw there was a plate for him, sometimes I'd be able to take it and just brought it down to him really quick. And otherwise, I really didn't do anything.
And when you say you brought it down to him, where would you have to bring it down to him?
To his room downstairs in the garage. This is Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so downstairs, his room there.
Are there times over the course of when you were living in Arizona that you ever saw your father, the defendant, be physically aggressive towards your brother?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He would grab him by the back of the neck and just kind of haul him down to his room. That was the most common one that I saw.
Would you be able to see what was happening once they're down in the room?
Once they're in the room, no.
Would you be able to hear what is happening?
Yes.
Tell me what you heard.
I would hear him curse at him, yell at him.
And you saying I would hear him curse at him. Who cursed?
I would hear Tim yell at Ryan.
And would you hear him curse at Ronan?
Yes.
Okay. What else would you hear?
I would hear the sound of contact, so like slapping or hitting or something. And then I'd also hear my brother scream.
Now, during these interactions, are they like rationally explaining or calmly explaining the change in behavior or what your brother did wrong?
No.
Is he angry?
Yes.
How can you tell that? Like, what makes you think that he was angry?
It was really loud and it didn't really seem much like an explanation. It just felt like he was just shouting at him.
Was your brother in trouble with your parents or on punishment with your parents a lot of the time?
Yes.
Did it seem like he basically was always in trouble?
Yes.
Did it seem like even when he did things that were positive or appropriate, that was acknowledged?
Speculation.
Based on what you saw?
Objections overruled. Objections overruled.
Wait, before answering.
The objection was speculation, correct? Objections overruled.
Based on what you saw, when your brother was acting in the way that your parents wanted or doing positive things, was that acknowledged?
Briefly.
Okay. Did it lead to like a change in his circumstances or improvement about how he was treated?
Briefly.
Okay. And when you say briefly, what do you mean by that?
It maybe went for a week or so, and then something else happened. He did something else. He got himself in trouble, and it go back to the way it was.
Was the ways that he got in trouble, to you, did it seem proportionate to what you knew he got in trouble for?
No.
Did it seem extreme, a reaction?
Relevant, her opinion.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that objection.
It was relevant, Your Honor?
Relevant as to her opinion.
All right, overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Coakley.
Can you answer that question?
Sure, can you repeat it?
Yeah. Did the punishment seem appropriate or proportional to what he was doing?
No.
Did the majority of the things that he was punished for, are they minor types of things?
From what I saw, yes.
Now, I want to talk about how your perception of in both Florida and Arizona.
Okay.
Did you ever feel a time that you were unsafe around your brother?
Unsafe as to
Physical harm.
like him harming me?
Yeah.
No.
No. Did you at any time? Did he ever threaten you or anything like that?
No.
Did you ever see him intentionally cause physical harm to any of your siblings?
No.
Or your parents?
No.
That's all the questions I have.
All right, Mr. Waidi, any cross?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Mark, you can escort the jurors into the jury room for a very short break, and then once we're set up, we'll reconvene.
You're on our end. There's nothing we're ready.
I'm sorry, Ms. Coakley?
We're set up. I don't know if you're breaking for us. We're ready to.
Okay, bear with me just for a second, Ms. Coakley, while the jury leaves the courtroom. All right, Ms. Murad, are you going to go down to 10G, or how do you want to handle this?
Mike.
All right, so let's have Mr. Waheed needs to come up here then. All right, Mr. Waheed, you need to come on up here to have a conference, and then you'll have to go back down to 10G.
Fair enough.
Okay, all right.
Oh, the guy is doing it.
Somehow.
Everyone can be seated.
I expect it to be
So, well, when I talk, I'll be standing there. Yeah. So who you, if you want to speak. So when you're objecting or whatever, anything you're.
I'll move you for a bit. I had a 1909 silver penny my great uncle gave me. As a kid, I'm pretty sure my mum sold it for trust. Oh, sorry, Jonathan. That sucks. Excuse me. Once they finish with this witness, I believe they're done for the night then. I don't actually know how long this is scheduled to go on for. I'm not sure if anyone else knows. Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? I'm intrigued intrigued by it. I'm confused by it, but I'm intrigued by it. Oh, sorry.
Loss of this witness. I mean, obviously, this will be the last witness for the day, but if
Here you go. Do you know why? Because I turned my volume down. Because Katie couldn't. I was too loud for Katie, so I turned it down. So I'm back up, but I'll turn it back down again now, so that I don't interrupt. But interestingly, the wife, Tracy, she's now not behind the defendant anymore. She's now behind the state's desk. Ooh, don't know what that is. And welcome back, Unicorn. Lovely to see you.
if you have a long way to go,
Don't worry.
then that'll affect what I do for the remainder of the day.
Also, you might carry on. I don't think you will. Yeah, Katie's fault. Oh, Katie. Oh. Yeah, Katie's fault. We can all blame Katie. Yeah, all the secret defenders, but they've all moved to the state side, Katie. I don't know why. You're in the corner. It's alright. It's alright. My dad collected old money working with public. It always helped me with my parents when the goals. Ah. Oh, there we go. Hang on. Let's skip it because normally they go on and on. So you see, the wife is there now. You see her? It's probably because they're not allowed to communicate in court, but like they communicate at home. That's good, Unicorn. That's fine. I did say hello when he came in, Unicorn. Yeah, she was behind.
Can Ms. Coakley come back? I mean, we can communicate with her through this link.
I don't think she's in there. Do you just want to run down? I just need to stop for then. But she's probably talking to her.
We're all getting our steps in today, Judge.
Well, you know, I'm in 10G, so I walk from literally one end of the courthouse to the other every time I take a
I was
break.
just in your courtroom. It's lovely. But far.
Baby Katie.
In heels. I don't have to do that. That's correct.
That might be correct, Katie, yeah.
But I choose my own time.
That's
That's a good shout, Katie. Oh, we got a great chat here. It was very knowledgeable. Nunya earlier on came out with a beautiful reason, maybe that.
Ms. Coakley, can you hear me? Ms. Coakley? I'm not able to hear her now.
They fixed it. They
Okay, so Mr. Waheed's advised that he expects his cross to take anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes, which leads me to the determination that we're probably better served to start the cross-examination tomorrow morning, because I don't want to keep the jury here to 5:45 or 6 today. What's your availability of the witness to be back here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock?
Understood, Your Honor.
I'm asking, is the state able to have Ms. Ferriter back here tomorrow morning at 10?
I mean, she'll have to miss school, but I mean, it can't be helped.
Yeah, I don't think it can be helped, so I think that's what we're going to do. Just let the witness know that we'll need her back here tomorrow, make sure whomever is responsible for her has her here ready to continue her cross-examination at 10 o'clock. We do want to run a test again tomorrow morning before we start to make sure that the technology is working properly. I've expressed just a little bit of concern to Ms. Black and Ms. Murad while you were not here, Mr. Waheed, of the jury's ability to hear and understand Ms. Ferriter. I don't know if it's because of her enunciation or because of the technology, but it was very difficult to catch every word that she was saying, and I'm just letting both sides know there was no objection raised during the testimony, so there's nothing for me to act on, but I did want to give both sides at least a heads up with the court's concern about the quality of the audio. I don't know that there's a solution, but maybe between now and tomorrow morning, think about it if there's some other way we want to approach it.
So, Judge, when I was just downstairs talking to the tech, they said they had just switched it so that the sound is now coming directly from the owl. I'm not sure is it better or worse now than it was earlier?
Well, we could hear Ms. Coakley fine. Ms. Coakley was not the problem. The problem was when Ms. Ferriter was testifying and speaking. The short answers we could hear fine. The yes, the no, to 1, 2, 3, those kinds of answers. But anytime it was more of an explanation, it became more difficult. And again, I don't know if it's because of the enunciation or just simply the quality of the sound transmission.
It was very clear.
I can come back up there to address this, but I do think it would be helpful if you empowered the jury to let us know, and we would immediately like to raise their hand.
I did do that, and I had the thumbs up at the beginning, but after the testimony was concluded, my bailiff advised me that a couple of the jurors told him that they had difficulty hearing. So I'm just going to have to put the onus back on the jurors. If you can't hear, stop the proceedings so that we can make sure that you hear everything, because we have to make sure that they can hear everything. The other thing I will tell you is if the jury does request a readback or a replay of her testimony, the testimony will be replayed from the recording in courtroom 10G, not this courtroom. So that should solve any issue with respect to the recording and the transmission through the IT. So I'm not going to suggest it, but if they do request it at the replay, then I think they'll get a clearer replay than they maybe got with the original play.
Yura, would you like me to just come back up there now then, so we can?
Yeah, you can come on back up here now, and then I'll bring the jurors out and tell them that we're going to begin, because of the lateness of the hour, we're going to continue the cross until tomorrow. So when you get back up here, I'll bring the jurors back up, Ms. Coakley.
All right, sounds good, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hey.
You're going to make that trek all the way down and back? G.
Okay. So, obviously, some of you couldn't hear the call. Hopefully that was addressed. Some of you couldn't hear me. Hopefully that's now addressed. Judge gives off baseball umpire vibes, yeah.
All right, so Mark, as soon as Ms. Coakley gets back, then you can bring the jurors out and we'll recess for today. Yes.
So they're recessing. All right, just remember to attend. Why is she talking? The wife is now speaking to the attorney. Yeah, I think what what Katie said, I think is true. I think that the camera is on the husband, so that's why they all had to move away. So I think that makes sense. And I suppose tomorrow she'll be back where she was. So they're both out on bail. I don't know whether it's a good thing or bad thing to go first or not. Do you know what I mean? Is it good? Is it bad? Because if he gets a not guilty, then the prosecution have another chance. Then they can do a do-over, see where the weaknesses were, and so she's gonna be buggered. Probably then. Or if he's found guilty, is that better for her then? She can maybe decide to get a plea deal instead, knowing what he gets. I don't know. Or do you get first? I'll get out of the way. I don't know. I only know that the boy was locked in his room box thing, 8 by 8, up to 16 hours a day sometimes, and he had to go to the toilet in a bucket. We're obviously only hearing the state side at the minute. In the opening statements, we heard that he was quite violent and a bit of a bully as well. But we just heard the daughter say that she wasn't scared of him. He wasn't allowed in the house on his own. He wasn't allowed to watch TV on his own. He wasn't allowed to get snacks on his own. He wasn't allowed out in public on his own. No, Dunya, I don't think they're blaming each other. I think they're on the same side. Um, I think that's why she's there. So there was
Okay, all sides ready to proceed?
Jonathan, love
All
it.
right, Mark, you may go ahead and bring the jurors out.
Well, look what the cat dragged in. Luna, 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 Luna.
All right.
Luna loves it. Luna loves it. It's weird. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon for Luna, and for me and Emma and Unicorn and stuff, it's like 10 in the evening.
All right, everyone may be seated. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, because of the lateness of the day, we're going to end the proceedings for today and continue with the cross-examination tomorrow. I do want to reiterate, because my bailiff did advise me that some of you had difficulty hearing. Very important, as I said at the beginning, that you hear all the testimony that is being given to you. So we're going to continue with this setup tomorrow, and there will be another witness in which the setup will be the same. But if you have any difficulty hearing at all at any part of the proceeding, raise your hand and let me know so that I can have them either repeat the question, because it's very important that I get feedback from you if you can't hear. You're the important ones, obviously, and that you hear the evidence. So just make sure that if you can't hear and you think you're missing something, you raise your hand and let me know, and then I'll work with the technology we have to make sure that it's presented so that you can hear it. Other than that, I want you to go home tonight. It's been a full long day. Same schedule tomorrow. Check in with the jury office at 9:15. Be up here at the elevators at 9:45, and Mark will be ready to meet you for a 10 o'clock sharp start time.
No.
I don't anticipate any delays tomorrow in starting at 10 o'clock sharp, so I am fairly confident, as confident as I can be, that we'll start close to the estimated time. Remember, during the recess, don't discuss the case with each other or with anyone else. Do any kind of research, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it all at this point. Most importantly, though, in all seriousness, make sure that you continue to avoid any inadvertent exposure to any type of media coverage. So any questions from you folks before I let you go for the day? All right, well, good. I will see you tomorrow. Go home, get a good night's dinner and a good night's rest, because I expect we'll go the full day tomorrow as well. All right, thank you.
No, Luna, so I know, Luna, that you're 8 hours behind me. so I can do the math. I know that Central Time 6 hours, Mountain Time 7 hours, Eastern Time 5 hours. Europe is 1 hour ahead. So that's I can just work it out in my head then, and it's actually quite easy. Two
All right,
o'clock,
everyone
10
may be
o'clock.
seated. Anything I need to address before we recess for today? I'm assuming the state's case will run through the entirety of tomorrow. All right, so that brings me to my next question. I always like the day that the state expects to finish their case. I want to make sure that you come armed with proposed jury instructions and enough copies, and if there are any issues with respect to the jury instructions, those have been worked out in advance. Are there any issues, you don't have to decide it right now, but are there any issues that are anticipated with respect to the jury instructions in this case? I know Ms. Black provided the court with a copy, and I assume she provided defense counsel with a copy of the proposed instructions. Have you had a chance to look at that, Ms. Murad or Mr. Wahid? So I won't hold you to it at this point. Try to look at them tonight, and if there are any issues you need to alert me to, let me know. I don't even have to hear them tomorrow, but I will need to be ready promptly, probably Thursday, sometime to hear any issues that need to be worked out with respect to the verdict form or the jury instructions. Okay, and I used to dread charge conferences in civil because they would take forever, but in criminal it's not too bad. So I don't expect it to take a lot of time to work through the charges.
I do have the lesser of child abuse, but I don't know which other lesser.
That's what I assumed as I read because you did have the lesser for the one, but there weren't lessers for the other, and I assumed that there weren't lessers as a matter of law. So, all right. Okay, so let's talk about that before I let you go. Your time is less valuable to me than the jurors. I'm just kidding, but so the state is still anticipating that you will finish on Thursday, correct? Is that?
Yes, I'll be frank with Your Honor in compiling my exhibits. They're longer than I was calculating, but I'm still hopeful we will be done. And I expected this to be done already, or that we're doing now tomorrow morning.
Right, I've gotten the impression that we're just a little bit behind schedule. I mean, and because of the technology issues, I get that. So give me your best guess. I mean, if it's not going to be to Friday, at some point I need to alert them that we're maybe going to go a day over if that's in fact going to happen. Remember, a day over is a big deal here because that means we go to next Tuesday.
I expect to rest on Thursday. I don't know if it will be midday or the end of the day yet.
Okay.
Better idea tomorrow afternoon.
All right, so we'll know better tomorrow. Ms. Murad, you indicated you have 3 civilian witnesses. You have an expert, right?
Yes, the 3 civilian witnesses are relatively short, so should the state rest after their expert on Thursday afternoon, I can call those 3 witnesses.
And then you have your expert.
She'll be a minute.
And then you'll make a decision at that time, a game time decision as to whether your client will testify or not. Obviously, when we get to that stage of the proceedings, I'll need to do the necessary colloquies from the court. Let's assume that, and I'm not holding to anything, but let's assume you put on your 3 witnesses, the expert and your client testifies just for budgeting and time. What is that looking at? Is that a full day of testimony, a half? That's a day and a half. So that means that if the state rests by Thursday midday, that you would go with your case possibly all the way through the end of Friday, and then deliberations would start.
Your Honor, I have to remind the court that we're off on Monday.
Oh, I know, that's why I said that a day over is a big deal here because Monday's off and we start Tuesday, so I get that. And I won't tell you that I had suspended my calendar for the entirety of next week, but that's subject to change depending on what happens with this. All right, good enough then. Anything else I need to address before we break for the day?
No, but I will advise, we know this, but one of the jurors has applied on Monday. So,
Is it one of the ones we chose?
Yes. Juror number 6, Ms. Single, I believe.
Juror number 6? Well, that is why we chose 3 alternates, just in an abundance of caution. Ms. Tuggle, which one? Oh, you're giving me the number that she's in the, yeah, it's juror 29 is the one that has the flight.
Just so that I can stand right, what juror number is she in the 1 to 6? 1 to 6 originally.
Oh, she's, my bailiff's telling me she's number 5. Yeah, number 5. Okay, all right, so we will break and recess for the day. Same schedule tomorrow. We will start sharply at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I don't intend to let anything go past.
Yeah, and you're right, on that, I think she comes back on Tuesday. So, like, that was.
We will address that when we have to. Let's not get there if we don't have to get there. All right, so it may not be an issue at all if she's going to be back for Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday. All right, well, everyone have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow for a 10 o'clock sharp start time.
So, Monday's a holiday in Florida, is it? Okay. That's a weird one. Okay, so they seem to think they'll go into Tuesday, but then they've got a juror on a flight on Monday. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on. So it's probably gonna be Tuesday. The juror might be. Oh, anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I still don't know what to say about this case, to be quite honest with you. But at least we got a timeline now. At least we got a timeline, which is good. I appreciate the timeline. I like a timeline. Let me window capture that off. Right. So I don't know. Anyway, can I go any further than that? There we are. I'll go up a bit of a hoop. Happy days. Happy days. Well, yeah, I'm intrigued with it. I'm intrigued with it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I'm a little bit like suspect with it. The the wife just walked out now. They're all on bail. Don't know where the children are. Um. Oh no, she's with her husband. Fine, she's with her husband. They're all talking with the lawyers and stuff like that. Might be the same lawyers for both of them. That would make sense, but I don't know. Yeah, no, yeah, I think that's going to come in the defense, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We've already heard a bit that he threatened people. No, what you got? It basically covered it that he was threatening um people in school, embarrassing his sister in school, um, threatening at home. That's why they had to lock him up because he had, oh, excuse me, behavioural issues. And that's why they're going with. Oh, hang on, take that off, turn that down. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I like the intriguing. Look, I always believe in. You know what, guys, that I believe in. This innocent. Oh, let me move this. Innocent unless proven guilty. Yeah, that's what. Yep, there it goes again. That's what I believe in. Innocent unless proven guilty. However, this is a tough one because, like, I find it quite hard to think a parent locks a child up in a box like that with lights on the outside, the only lock on the outside, can't go to the toilet, has to go to the toilet in a bucket. It just sounds inhumane. Do you know what I mean? So, but need to give the benefit of the doubt. We haven't heard all the testimony yet. We have to give the benefit of the doubt. He's innocent, 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 unless proven. So I'm finding this quite difficult with knowing what we know, but we need to be a little bit impartial. Um, but Josie made a very good point earlier on about we still don't know what the instructions are going to be. And I still don't know what the actual fulfillment of the charges are going to be. So that'll place a bit of weight on stuff as well. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, right. So just remember, it's disgusting. It's really difficult. Yeah, I know it is difficult. Unicorn, I respect that. I do respect that. I sounds despicable, yes. But like I was trying to say, guys, to everybody, in every case, I don't want to turn into those people as well that are always guilty, guilty, guilty. We've heard some stuff that's not great, but I want to still give them the opportunity to put a case forward. I don't know what the defense is going to do, but um, it's not sounding good. It's not sounding. It is what I'm trying. I'm trying to be impartial here. Do you know what I mean? But it's not easy. It's not easy. So it sounds really bad on their part at the minute. Um, so we see. So that whole innocent unless proven guilty is I'm finding that quite difficult, knowing what we know. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if there's ever a reason we lock up a child. I'd be very interested to see if they've ever gone to the police with the violence, or do they tell other people? Do the school know? Who knows that he was? Because they said that in Arizona, people were aware that he was locked up and stuff. But I'd be intrigued to see if the school. Someone said that this morning. If the school knew about it. Um, yes, Unicorn, spot on, and you'll see that in the defense. What they say, Unicorn. Do you know what I mean? Spot on, Unicorn. 100% spot on there. They're just trying to say, yeah, it might be bad parents, but they made mistakes, but this is why they did it. It was justified. But I can't think of a reason why. Okay, look, I can see why you would lock a child up if they've been really, really bad, right? For like an hour or something in a room or something. I can see it. But that's a one-off. I'm talking about really, really bad one-off, stand in the corner type thing to make him sleep and like even if it's a case of he had lights in there or something, or he had access to the toilet or something. There's nothing. He had to basically do everything in the bucket. Jimmy, that's not what's getting clipped. Oh no, what did I say? Oh no, I don't even know what I said, Lady Law. I love being clipped though. I love being clipped. So it's all good. People can clip me all they want because I need loads of promotion. So clip me anytime you want, guys. Um, so we'll see. It I just yeah doesn't sit well at the minute anyway. And I dread to think what you're gonna clip. Um, did I say locking kids up? That's fine. I'm known as a monster anyway, so it'll be nothing new. Um, Locked up in a room at night, but I'd be afraid of a fight. Yeah, yeah. That's why I can't. For me, Nunya, it's the toilet and stuff. No, I know you're not, Lady Lord. And as soon as you said what it was, I know you're not. I know you wouldn't do that to me. As soon as it's like we're in the 21st century. Do you know what I mean? It's again, it's different. If there's a toilet, even if it's a toilet in the room, en suite, where do you know what I mean? There's so many things here. It just doesn't sit well. So, it's just for me, it's unhumane, unhumane. It just sounds. I don't see how. I know he was violent, and you know what? Fair enough. He was violent, so you have to lock him up. That fine, 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 fine. But when you're building something like that, you fine build it, but taking into consideration he needs toilet, he needs access, he needs all these things. He needs lights in there. It's like a caveman. My son has meltdowns, quite big ones at times. It's literally about keeping him and everyone else safe. Not that he'd ever want to hurt anyone, not locking him away, also teaching and helping him to regulate. Exactly. These things happen. I understand, but the way they've dealt with it, like apparently he was grabbing him by the neck and chucking him and stuff. Bad parents. I think it's more than just bad parents. Um, if I had a violent child and an infant, protecting the infant would be my concern. Um, yeah, I think you're right, but no, yeah, I agree. You're in the infant there because infants can't protect themselves. So 100% the infant would be. But again, I'd be interested to see when they adopted him and everything. When did he? Because I believe there was an infant there, but he got adopted the same time as the infant, or the infant came before he got adopted. So I would be very, if you can't cope, then you just give it's an adopted child. You just have to, sorry, you just have to give the child back. As bad as that sounds, in my opinion, anyway. Um, but even though, yes, you're right, I agree, protect the infant, but it's still a child. Do you know what I mean? They deserve protecting as well, even if they're violent. But unless, I mean, if they can't cope, then as crap as it is, they need to go to someone else. Um, I don't know. I'm not enough of an expert on this. I'm just speaking my truth here, guys. I'm not like I don't have oh, this is my opinion, this is right. I don't know what's right or wrong. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know why. Maybe because kids are involved. I don't know, but I can understand the logic of a box. I can. Um, I can understand the logic of it. I just, if you're doing that, then I would like to know where the layouts of the toilets were. Where's the toilet? Was there one in the garage? Could you built one in the garage? Could why no toilet? If you got a toilet, I'm less concerned about other stuff then. You know, um, I still think it's shit of them not to put light in there and to lock him from the outside. But if he's got access to a toilet, I'm not so bothered. At least it's not that inhumane. I know we're talking fires and stuff like that as well. Um, but I don't know. No, I get what you're saying, and yeah, it's personal experience as well. I get you. I get you. Jonathan, Jesus, your cousin, your nephew, sorry. Bloody hell. Anyway, right. I think we're done for the night. Remember tomorrow we've got Matthew Moore, Matt Moore coming on. He's awesome. We're going to be doing it, I remember, at 8 o'clock Pacific, so Luna. Make sure you wash those titties early in the morning and come and join us on stream. And same for you, another CG. Wash those balls, my son. And yes, 8 o'clock for that. That means then it is 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, and 4 o'clock um, our time in the UK. So that's the time we're doing it. Remember, day two, we will be playing that at 2 o'clock UK time on Thursday, which is 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, and 6 o'clock Pacific time. But I'm sure you'll be able to catch up with that. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So catch up on a replay crew or something like that. So Thursday we're doing day two and day three all the way through. So I'll need chat to be on the ball. And I need you on the ball tomorrow because Matt's coming. He's looking forward to it. He's excited. So, and I think we got great guests as well. So with that, and then Friday obviously back to normal, and maybe day off Monday, maybe, and then Tuesday trial again. I'm not sure. Does the whole US have a day off? I don't know. So. Yeah, Hannah, it's getting late for you. It's 11:30 for you. Thank you, my lovely. Good night to you, my darling. You were quiet. Didn't know you were here. Rumba. Bam. Woohoo. So there we are, people. I know you're saying your stories. Please keep in chat. the chat's still going to be there, guys. So feel free to start chatting. I think stay for the next 5 minutes or something. So, as always, love you all. Appreciate you all. There's a bigger picture of me then. Appreciate you all. And oh, Jonathan, yeah, he's fine because Jonathan wouldn't have said anything.